Okay, so we're up to session 109 of the campaign, with it also being Phase 3, Season 1, Episode 15. So it's quite a few sessions into the storyline. Characters are level 11, and currently on the Isle of Dread, having awoken a few things that they can respect.
And, well, we were expecting to make one up. Now we've got a bunch of them.
So, it's going to be a fun time. You know what? It's always great when things are awake. Makes the world more interesting, right?
That's a view, certainly.
Looking on the sunny side.
Yeah.
So at the table we have Yesli.
I am playing Kupalani Aokai. She goes by Lonnie, along with many other titles. We got Captain, Weapons Master, Lonnie the Undying is the most famous one, of course. Bane of Nightshades, Lonnie the Undefeated. Most recently, Empress of the Sea, according to Kokru. So, she is looking to get some kind of title such as Conqueror of the Isle of Dread of some kind like that. As
subtle.
No, she was looking for her crown.
I am looking for my crown as Empress of the Right Place, which I've been told is the middle, but we're not heading to the middle right now.
Oh, they are heading towards the middle by going in from the side.
That's okay.
Now they decided they were going to take the most dangerous entry.
Sounds like it. So
I think we were going off the advice of the Rakasta.
Mm-hmm.
I
never
believe
said
you.
it was great advice. Because they did say none of their people returned.
Yeah. None of our people have ever returned. Go do that.
Go this way.
Yeah.
So, have fun.
Yes. It's actually a good thing that you weren't here, because Lonnie would have tried to pick one of them as they can.
Because I'm used to, what's the other one called again? Tabaxi. I'm used to Tabaxi. Tabaxi like it. The Costa probably don't. That's probably how you get a laser
They're
arm.
rather more stuck up.
Yeah.
Tabaxi are far more often things like rangers. They don't care about stuff like that.
Yeah, that's why you make them their friend, and then you can scratch them behind the ears.
Or rogues who will let you do it while pickpocketing you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, I'm sure we can get the broadcaster to do so, as long as you don't want to keep your stomach in this place.
Exactly.
Yes. They're a bit more.
They're a little bit more serious.
Yes.
Less serious, more looking down
Stuck
on the
up.
races who grow up on this planet.
Yeah.
It's a little hard not to when they grew up off the planet.
Exactly.
So that brings us to Paul.
Who is
Microphone
clan
up
chief
here
of-
would help.
yeah, clan chief of Clan Daymar, diplomat, part-time healer, warlock, pretty boy, and the tall, good-looking one.
Otherwise known as Hey You.
Hey, you with the face.
To certain people, like small white dragons, certainly.
Just
Or
making
large
sure
white
we don't
dragons.
have
Large
news
now.
from a player.
Yes.
No, we don't.
Who nowadays has
Speaking
a
of
paladin
small
now.
white dragons.
I like that you kept the chain on her.
Yeah.
Well, she's bling now. She's got
Yeah.
bling.
Yep. Got to have the bling.
So now we're up to Ariadna.
No, you keep saying Ariadna, but it is Calcretes. We're up to Calcretes. The white dragon, mostly, with the jazz wings.
And the bling bling.
And her helper,
And
Ariadne.
the bling, yeah. Yeah, it all rhymes. And her companion, Eep, who looks like a little plant-like creature on a horn. And currently absent Grindelwalfle Brewmaster, her coffee gnome, who's tending to her magical coffee fields, well out of the path of Master at the moment, hopefully. Yes, I think that's me. Before we move on, does anyone here want a hot chocolate? Because I'm just about to make myself a coffee.
That would be really nice.
Yep, peppermint.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
cool.
Same.
Same?
Yeah.
Alright.
Thank you.
So, with the story so far, they travelled to the Isle of Dawn trying to find if they could get one of the missing artifacts of the 5 artifacts they were after to make the map work.
Fun.
Hearing that there was something down there. They also went down there to find out what was happening with the undead that made the lizard men flee. Seems these is related.
Yeah, quite probably.
And getting on the island, they find out that the island is the birthplace of the Titans.
Yes, which is why apparently several of them have now woken up.
And most of the, it's the, it wasn't their birthplace. This is where they gave birth.
Yeah.
So, completely
there's-
different
there's a-
Titans.
Yes, and there's a lot of sub-titans around.
Well, they're
So-
Titans in their own right, just that these
some
were
of
the
them
primal
are,
ones.
Yeah, some of them are minor titans. They're still frigging titans. And here's us with no laser cannon.
And finding out that the elder gods were the children of the Titans.
Yes.
Makes sense.
So, and a lot of the elder gods gave up their lives to stop the Titans in the first place.
Hmm.
Yep.
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 So the old gods that died were the children of the Titans.
Yes, well, most of the first generation of the children of the Titans. Some of the second generation too, I think, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Some of them still survived, otherwise we really wouldn't have some of the gods. So yes, not all of them used to be mortal.
Yeah. Which is an important distinction.
It is. It's one of the things that makes me laugh at Mr. Welch every time he brings it up.
Mhm.
The fact that the Immortals of Mystara are so different to all of the other settings gods. No, they're frigging not.
They're just gods
There's-
because every
yeah.
other setting they've made in D&D, they've made the gods have a mortal form before they became gods because all the gods die. And when a god dies,
Not
Are
necessarily.
we summarising still? Because
that
you
was
guys are talking
that,
really
that was
low
some that,
register
that was
stuff.
Yeah.
summarizing. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of the Forgotten Realms gods were mortals who took on the mantle
Yeah,
of the god.
but most of them aren't. Most of them actually come from the Dawn War, which is pre-mortals.
Mm.
It's quite a few of them used to be mortals,
Mhm.
but not the majority. Mystara is the majority. The big distinction, and the only real distinction, is Immortals don't need worshippers for power. You can remove one by removing all of its worshippers, because the name disappears, as you've mentioned a couple of times. But as long as they've got any sort of congregation, they are 100% power.
Mhm.
They then have to level themselves up, so that's internal to them. But they don't need to increase their congregation. They don't need to power their worshippers up and get anywhere.
So for the gods of Mystara to gain power, they have to
They have to
best
adventure,
someone.
basically.
No, they have to best someone in their own sphere. So.
So it's still them doing it, not their followers doing it.
So whether or not they've got every person on the planet following them or
Yeah.
one person on the planet following them, it doesn't affect their power levels.
Exactly, that's my point.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. As long as they have someone who knows their name and is worshipping them, it's like characters with hit points. As long as you've got one hit point, you are 100% capability. You're just not as resilient as you were an hour ago.
Yeah.
But as long as you've got that one, you are 100% capability.
Though
And that's what they've got. As long as they've got
they do
somebody who
have
knows
some
their name.
drawbacks.
Yeah.
It's basically that the followers follow part of their patron, and they
Yeah.
lose the patrons they don't have followers for.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
their downside.
Yeah,
They lose part of their power that way.
They lose part of their power because they lose their subordinates.
Yes.
because they either dissipate or go and join somebody else.
So,
But it's all personal politics. It's the same as nobles doing politics in a castle. They've got followers, they've got minions, all the rest of that stuff, and they're jockeying for influence.
And so the big outtake that the characters got at
Yeah.
last session of this is that majority of the gods draw their power from the 6 primal titans.
Yep.
Yep.
And Friday's group found out what that meant.
Oh no!
What blew up?
Their spells were going crazy.
Oh, fun.
So their primal spells were far more effective.
Oh,
They were no longer
That's-
diluted.
Yeah, I'm
That's
not.
a us.
If you're right near the
fault.
Titans, I'm not
So that
surprised.
doesn't matter if you're near the Titan or not.
It's just weakness.
It's no longer filtered through the subordinates.
Yeah,
We took the filter away.
yeah. So hi, let's run the tools in the shed straight off the tree face.
Yeah.
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 Nice.
And so they managed to get the attention of one of the primal titans, and then the others turned and looked at them.
Oh, that sounds like a fun time.
It sounds like not as problematic this time.
Yeah.
Even though we caused it.
Yeah, we didn't do it.
That's where you just hear the
Oh,
glass
somebody
shattering and then you look at wasn't me. Sorry.
Well, you did bring a cat along with you.
That's what happens. See, this is what happens when you bring a cat along with you and not a Lonnie.
That's true.
That's what I'm getting from this.
Okay, so online we will have Jeremy back eventually, and I'm not sure what's happened to Florian.
Mm-hmm.
So he hasn't sent any apologies for this week, but I don't chase everyone up specifically
Yeah.
because
So-
otherwise I'm just chasing everyone up.
So we'll see where he is eventually, I'm sure. Meanwhile,
So they had travelled to the coast. They spent all the time that you were away, Kesley, going
Yep.
from the south eastern coast to the western coast.
Yep.
And that was almost the entirety of why you were away.
Yep.
Did you remember reaching the tar pits?
No.
Then they didn't get particularly far when you left them.
No.
Yes. We just.
Walked
Like
through
we-
the valley of
Mm-hmm.
fog. Okay, so yes, that was before the tar pits.
Mm-hmm.
And so you missed the entirety of the tar pits, the cats,
Yeah.
the
All of
titans,
that,
the
yeah.
primal titans,
Yeah.
and reaching the coast.
Makes sense. Which I went to the LA tar pits while you guys were probably playing the tar pits because
Nice.
I went on a Monday, which is Tuesday here. So
So it was interesting.
That'd be cool.
yeah.
And we'll introduce Jeremy, who's now back.
Good evening, all. Yeah, apologies for the delay. I'm playing Draknima, the Atruaghin tribesman who, despite having grown up on the plateau a continent away and a large sea away, finds that he's somewhat local down here.
Okay, so Jeremy, did
Like the
Draknami
reflex on
want to add any insight to Lani? For background.
As I say, the Draknima would typically not talk about his dream and the fact that he was going to be dealing with the Titan and things like that until it came up because Calcrit apparently got word from someone else, another immortal. But end result was, hey, the challenge was made and Primordials were successfully released on behalf of Tar, the Preserver, who was recognising the fact that the Primordials would be required to help distract the gods enough to allow the world to maintain.
So waking the primordial gods is a distraction to keep the other gods from fighting each other.
Well, now
Not the Drachnima,
And
not
for
the Drachnima
strategies.
understands or knows why the gods are distracting.
Well, now they have
Yeah.
a major hamstring in their power.
Yes.
Oh,
So
that guy, yes, and also
Because the
Spectre Master power, yes.
Titans being awake messes their magic up.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because it's essentially the power draws back to the primordial gods, right?
Yeah, and if they're awake,
Ooh.
that the gods get the same effects that the Fridays group are getting.
Ooh. Ooh. This is scary.
It is very scary.
This is actually very scary.
And it took a direct child of the Primal Titans to stop them the first time.
And this time, there's us.
Actually, that was the other thing, was that we're also going to slow down the Master,
Yes.
because
Well-
it took away his talk of
No,
power
that's
as well.
that was
Well,
the
that's
first
the thing,
thing
it
I was
messes the
thinking.
master up.
It messes the master up, but it also means that whoever the master needs to defeat is also slightly weaker.
Yes. But we can handle it better than he can. Because we're used to this power level. He's not.
True.
He hasn't been this power level for 20 levels.
And because one of the primal dinosaurs represents immortality, it does mean that anyone who's been relying on their immortality, it doesn't work the same now.
Okay.
he might need to actually be rezzed.
Quite a few of the guys are going.
We're going
Whoops.
to be careful a little bit.
Oopsies.
They're backing off from being active.
They're backing off from.
They're unlikely to take the field.
Yeah.
So
But it's also one of the things that the characters
The master can.
we're not necessarily entirely certain of yet as to why there were 6 primordials.
that is
Yes.
something that means the master
Yes.
can be killed.
That is a point.
There's
Why
players,
there's 6
there's players
5.
where the 6th one is immortality.
Yeah. Because that's affecting all of them. That's one central one with 5 primordials. Yeah.
Okay, so
Because there's no god of that.
your character went to sleep in one of those rings.
Yeah.
When you woke up, there was just life everywhere, but no one else. You woke up in a forest of nightmares, where even the plants were trying to kill you.
Sounds accurate.
So you got yourself stuck in the worst of the Feywild.
I got stuck in like the nightmare Alice in Wonderland, like Field of Flowers nonsense. Okay, so I got stuck in the worst of the worst, and so I had to fight my way out.
Well,
It's okay, it was all a dream.
and when you finally succumbed to the plant life attacking you constantly for what felt like years, you woke up in next to all the others. Cuts and marks all over your body. So almost like death by 1,000 cuts.
But it was
Gotcha.
a realistic dream.
So, cuts and all that stuff all over. So, this will be a thing from now on. If Lonnie has ever presented flowers, she will punch them.
Yes, because you also came across what's called the vampire rose bush,
Oh, I know those ones. Okay. Yep.
because it's white until it sucks your blood,
Yep.
and it kept chasing you through the Feywild because it wasn't stationary.
Yep.
And every time you had to stop for a breather, it caught up. So you could imagine running for days on end, and every time you stop, it catches up.
So,
I'm sure
Where
you'll have no problem
Lonnie
with
being a
Doctrix's
human-
little animated plant.
I was gonna say, Lonnie being a human knows the importance of being a stalking predator is now met with plant-like stalking predators, and it's a problem.
You're an endurance predator, though.
Yes,
what
but
they are.
She got out
talking about
endured.
AI stuff.
I know, that's really
So,
Yes.
Paul, I was just describing how she was out endured by vampire roses, stalking her in the Feywild.
Well, yeah.
Not stopping.
Undead things are better at it than humans.
Well, it's not undead, it's a plant.
It's a plant.
Oh.
That's right.
Because the sun never sets, it's got plenty of energy.
Yeah, and plants don't need to rest, generally.
And obviously plants are good at stalking because they're stalked.
I wasn't going to go there.
I love the whips.
I'm giving you
But,
so much side eye right now.
I was going to say, I'm curious at the fact that isn't one of Kelcrick's special friends effectively a plant?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, when Calkers is back, I'll roleplay that a little bit.
So yes, Jeremy, your character has a interesting dream where you
Sorry, what was this about Calbricks?
Oh, we'll get there when you're ready.
No, that's
So-
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing specific about her.
Okay.
So Jeremy, you have an
Just a
interesting.
white dragonborn, basically.
Oh, no, very cool.
Yes.
Continuing again, so Jeremy, you had an interesting dream where you encountered Car the Preserver,
Mm-hmm.
who
Again.
basically congratulates you on succeeding in your challenge with the Titan and gaining access to the center of the island.
Well, okay, what's the main goal? And hopefully the release of the primordials was part of the plan.
It just looks at you and says, well, if it said it was part of the plan, you probably wouldn't have done it.
I've got no problem with that at all. People actually expecting an accident or something before we never took the question. Well, I'm not taking responsibility for at least the primordials.
And it does say
It's
that,
not only me.
and it does say that now that the primordials have been released, the limitation on your people leaving the plateau has finally lifted.
Aha.
Yes.
So I can gather the army and we can quick forth the proper time to do so.
Yes, because your people were bound under a spell of preservation.
By Car the Preserver?
By the gods. The gods have been using spells of preservation in the Hollow World to
Yeah.
stop people advancing.
Oh, I see.
And Atruaghin himself had dropped one on his people to regress them to the point of not being able to use metal weapons. And that's why metal weapons was a issue for them.
Yeah, it was not allowed.
But it also protected them over the millennia as well.
It has, yes.
So,
Yeah.
Um,
yeah. Still, barbarians with walls are still mean.
yes. Speaking of release of primordials, I was surprised to see 6.
You surprised to what?
This story in the car.
Yes.
I was surprised to see 6.
Well, there are 5 mothers of the gods and 1 father.
Oh.
Okay.
So who's the mother?
The brothers represent the elementals that are known in the world.
Yes.
Could you repeat that, Jeremy?
The brothers represent the elements, or that's what the word looks for is now. But yeah, the elements that we know of in the world, the 5 elements.
The mothers represent the 5 elements, yes.
So did you say 5 mothers and 1 father?
Yes.
Right. So
So,
I think it's brothers.
no,
yeah.
mothers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Seems to be a lot of that today, where it's
Yeah.
hard to hear everyone.
And the father represents.
Immortality.
Okay. I wasn't expecting you to tell him, but I'm going to find out.
Surprised it's not the girl. She's the one who has all the babies.
Well, they're the ones who represent all the different elements.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. It's the idea of one father begetting lots of different sons from different mothers.
So the
Yeah.
father is the weakest of the 5, of the 6.
Even though he's immortal?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's just unkillable. Doesn't mean he's particularly powerful per se.
And the father doesn't deal with mortals.
Because his constituents are the gods.
Mm-hmm.
You can want to be one of his constituents.
So Jim is also
Let you be
just
immortal.
quietly looking around a bit in his dream, hoping to particularly catch a glimpse of a Atruaghin in the background somewhere, thinking,
Yeah.
hey, I hope he agreed as well.
As you look around, you find yourself waking up and staring directly at Lani, who's completely covered in what appears to be paper cuts.
It really hurts.
Why? Do you
Okay,
take
so-
touch?
Well, the rest of you were dreaming. Lowell ended up dreaming as well.
Yes.
I presume we
Which
all
is unusual.
dream sequences have been become a commonality or
Yeah.
a regularity here.
I think I'm
Well,
getting
we're too close to
I'm
the
getting
Feywild.
more- I'm getting more dreams in than most of the entire population of Alfheim do in a century.
Yep.
And in his dream, he was shuffling papers and more papers and even more papers.
And
This,
I
this
went
sounds
with
similar
it
to one of
because
his other dreams.
Well, this time he's not waiting. He's just doing paperwork
I'm
and more
processing
paperwork.
stuff.
And none of it's his.
Sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah, for most people that's a nightmare. But Claw, a wonderful dream.
But the nightmare for him is he can't remember a single page once he turns it over.
Which is the annoying bit.
And he reads a new page, he knows that's wonderful information, then turns it over and forgets it.
I can't take notes either.
And so he wakes up completely drenched in sweat.
Having done an average bureaucrat's day of work.
Yep.
All well processed, properly done, and totally forgetful when you get home. Oops.
And then Calcrix also has a dream.
Yes.
Yes, it seems Ape was busy in the Feywild.
That-
Kept trying to bring Lani back because Lani was lost.
Oh, I
And
see.
kept following her through the Feywild.
I'd just like to put this up as Eep is not technically a plant. Eep just looks like a plant.
Right.
So I kept trying to entice her with flowers.
Of course, you know. Everyone likes flowers, right?
Some to eat them.
So this is the vampire rose that was chasing Lani.
Very much.
Yep. Okay. That part surprises Calcrix that Eep's gone as a vampire rose rather than something else.
Well,
but-
he just saw Rose. He doesn't really recognize the vampire part.
One thing from my dream. Did I work out, because I can't remember, did I work out, was there a reason for me to dream that?
You're unsure. You just have this frustration of dealing with paperwork and not remembering it.
So
You may have been used as the processing power for one of the minions of an immortal.
I've been one of Raphael's bloody computer parts.
So Calcrix has a dream just of Eep chasing Lani, and Eep is a vampire rose or
Oh,
rose.
Eepy's just chasing Lani. You don't see what it
Oh,
looks
okay.
like.
It just looks like Eep.
And then eventually catches Lani, and Lani collapses and wakes up.
Okay. Alright. And does Calcrix wake up
Yep.
to see Lani?
Yep, completely covered head to toe in paper cuts. At least that's what it looks
Regardless,
like.
Calcrix tackles Lani and gives her a hug.
I say, ow, 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 ow.
Followed by a cookie, which heals.
Is Eep on her horn?
Yep.
Do I recognize the Eep from my
Well,
time in the
Eep's got a
Feywild?
shape of a, instead of a carnivorous plant head, has a shape of a rose.
I'm gonna, like, just very gently, like, hello, how are you? Just kind of stay one eye on Eep the whole time. It's like, thank you for the cookie.
And then the rose has this little smiley face in it.
And
Right.
I explained to Lani that Eep was trying to rescue you from the Feywild.
Well, I hope, thank you, Eep, if you found me. It was not great. Not a good time. Eep, don't take this personally. Plants are not great sometimes. Eep, you're great.
Eep's very
He
I don't
grabs the
add-
second rose.
I'm like, Eep? No offense, I'm just not gonna look at you for a bit. I hope you don't take that personally. Because I don't recognize that Eep was there.
okay.
Yeah.
She just saw roses chasing her.
Okay. What does Eep look like now?
He looks like he's got two little rose heads.
She does. Yeah. I will pluck Heap down and go, what happened to your sheep?
He turns back into a carnivorous plant.
I'm like, but can you do other shapes?
Turns into what looks like a razor sharp daisy.
Ooh. I like this. Carcrix is very happy.
Now we can go with her outfits.
Well, you know.
When you need, for those formal occasions, that way when you want a nice day out.
Well, it's not like many people can pick up something that's sharp enough to cut most people.
Exactly.
But dragon scales are a lot harder than skin.
Is Eve able to do a pitcher plant, a Sarracenia, rather than a flytrap shape?
He can.
Yay! Carcrix is like, I like all of these. And she gives Eve a cookie, which she does regularly.
But it's always interesting watching a plant consume a cookie.
It's a miniature cookie, and she's got her leaves, and she's just like nom nom nom. All right. So we've all woken up.
On the edge of the swamp.
I look at Lani and has the cookie helped her heal up a little bit of her paper cuts?
Well, you can see all the cuts everywhere. She looks healed, but the cuts are everywhere.
Okay.
Mm.
But less painful, hopefully?
That's up to Lani.
Yeah, it's less painful. I'm sure they'll heal with time.
Yeah, well, the cookies have healing properties, so...
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Probably in lemon juice, we'll find out.
Exactly.
I'm guessing that because this is here, things might happen.
Only worry a little bit.
I'm sure there's absolutely no threat whatsoever.
Yeah. He says in GM voice.
I know, right?
Look, this Calcrex is almost the same as that Calcrex. So...
From what we were told by the cat folk, if we stick to the valley going in centre, we should be avoiding most of the major or known threat. Is that right?
But the valley does
The one
have
to the mountain?
rocks in it.
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the valley does have werecrocs in it though, so we need to be careful. It could be just as dangerous. I'll just check his little...
But hey, at least travel should be a little bit easier.
Hopefully.
You wanna know what my first thought was when you said wear Crocs? I'm like, oh, does that mean they all have the voice of Steve Irwin? And I'm like, damn it, you guys are all Australian. Of course it has the voice of Steve Irwin.
And you hear a lot of crikey, 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 crikey. And then struth.
Where to me,
Just
I
hear
was
the
just wondering.
Hogan accent.
Of course. I was just wondering. So, who are the people in this valley that wear plastic shoes?
I know, right? Oh my god.
They all wear Crocs.
They're all wearing rubber shoes
This is terrible.
with holes in them.
Do they have the little charms on the shoes? Oh no, they put them in sport mode. Better look out.
Okay, so yes, looking around, you sort of see that it seems Brumdram hasn't actually appeared with you. You're not sure what happened to him because you didn't see him in the Feywild.
Nope.
And you find out from the others that he's been missing for as long as you have, and you've been gone for a couple of days.
Well, to me, what does it feel like? It felt like
Years.
years, didn't it?
Yeah.
And then, like, I'm pretty sure one of them told me it's been a couple of days, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. And then Brumdram's missing, so it's just like, oh no.
Just checking on something. Did we camp in the tower, or did we get one of the shelters with you that night?
Sorry, what was that, Jeremy?
Were we camping in the tower the night we had these dreams, or did one of the shelters reappear when we got to the sort of the mouth of the valley?
I believe you found a shelter. And you
No,
got a
we
shelter.
were in the tower.
You were in the tower?
Yeah, Because
Oh,
Drachnima went up to the top to pray
That's
to
right, he was in the
Atruaghin.
tower.
I couldn't remember what that was. I knew we did that on one night, but I couldn't remember if that was the last night of
That
the
was the
session
last
or
night.
not, or was it?
Yeah,
I believe that was the last night.
yeah, because
Okay. And so Lani actually wakes up in the tower as well, as opposed to in a
She
shelter.
does. She does wake up in the tower.
That's concerning.
Okay. Yeah,
Just
obviously
have-
your celestial tower's got access to the Feywild,
More
or vice
questions.
versa.
Fair. Yeah.
And I don't know how to put that into words.
Which,
I can help you with that. I'm good at words.
I think we all have questions and not quite the words to deal with them.
Yeah.
What you looking for?
I was looking for my diary over here. Because I try to keep notes of stuff so I don't lose track of what I'm
Do you
doing.
need more space?
No, I got enough space.
Because I've kind of spread out over here.
It's okay. The idea was everyone had space to spread out. That's why I extended the table.
Thank you.
Least of all, it's now taken up by candles and Christmas dinosaurs.
Christmas dinosaur is very important. Tis the season.
Technically, there's two because I broke one.
Uh,
I'm gonna try and repair it. but
okay.
I was so sad, and I saw another one, and I'm like,
There we go.
doesn't hurt to have a spare.
But you didn't break one, they were fighting each other.
That's right. One boat bit the other one's foot.
Long before it
That's
arrived.
right.
So yes, you've now got Lani back. What do you tell Lani about what's happened?
Who wants to tell Lani about? I don't mind, but I've got notes that I can rattle off at her.
Yes.
I'm sure as you gave Lonnie a hug and you give her the cookie, you're just like, oh my god, Lonnie, guess what happened?
Well, a part of aside from the fact that Drachnima defeated the sun. Well, we all defeated the sun. Luel, and Drachnima and I think
S-U-N?
we had the Rakasta with us. S-U-N, Sun dinosaur, the dire dinosaur that represented the Sun Titan.
Yep.
That meant that all the other Titans had woken up, and the avatar of the Sun Titan has gone to sleep. One of the really big things that we learnt out of that was the Master's ability to take souls has been rescinded because he was using the Titans and draining them, and now that they are awake, he can no longer do so.
So he's been
So we've cut off his power there.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's a good thing.
That's a really good thing for everybody
Yes.
because he was stealing power.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
then he was
'cause he was
doing
taking it.
Titan Warlock impressions.
Yeah.
But then all the gods were stealing power.
Well, yeah, there is that.
And as you
By
would have heard,
technicality.
the Atruaghin are no longer restricted to the plateau and can now go to war, which they may well do. The only person who can reason with the Titans is Io, grandfather dragon. My grandfather dragon.
Yes.
Jeremy had, no, not Jeremy, Bob, I think, had the great joy of announcing that Martin essentially said life will find a way when the Titans were awoken.
Hey, you got to fit in your Jurassic Park quotes.
And one of the important things is Titans will not necessarily destroy the world; they'll just rearrange it, which just might destroy everything living on the world. And as far as
furniture.
as far as Drachnima and Atruaghin are concerned, nature fighting back is not a bad thing. So he's not absolutely against this. I am somewhat apprehensive because I don't want to die. But you know,
It's not. Yeah, I was gonna say, as you explained it to Lonnie, she was like, "That makes sense. That could
Okay.
change a lot of things.
So
It's
I'll
very
give,
dangerous."
give each of you a perception roll.
It's plus 10 for
Plus
my
10
perception,
for
isn't
yours,
it? So
yes.
26.
Lonnie, roll a natural one.
No, but close enough. I have 3, so I think that will be a 11. If I remember my stats correctly.
How about Drachnima?
25.
25. Okay, so Drachnimir and Calcrix are quite startled when the sun starts to rise. That woke them up. Because sun rose in the north.
Oh, that's right, yeah, the sun's going from south to north, or north to south?
North to south.
North to south,
Oh,
yeah.
rising in the north and going to the south.
Because the sun god had it rise in the east and go to the west.
Mm.
But he's no longer the power of the sun.
No.
Yeah.
So the sun now circles the planet instead of the planet circling the sun.
Right.
Okay.
Because now Dawn is awake.
Is there any significance with that perception?
Yes, it completely wigs you out because it's different.
This is almost like my friend in high school who insisted in New Hampshire the sun rose in the west and set it in the east. And I'm just like,
Well, if you change your map directions around, of course it does.
I don't think that's how that works. Which was so
And the other thing
adamant.
that makes you a bit weirded out is you're right on the edge of the ocean and the water's not moving.
Okay, yep.
The tides have stopped.
Calcrix kind of will, if we're near the water, she'll kind of like put a tail in the water and kind of like splash at it and kind of give a worried look towards her fellow party members.
Is it the sort of thing that the water is, there's still waves and ripples in the ocean from wind movement and stuff? It's just that it was obvious that there was no high tide last night or things like that.
You're not even seeing ripples in the water, no waves at all.
Are we feeling any breeze?
I point
No
this out
breeze
to
at all.
Lani because she's the water person.
Okay. What I'm finding most disturbing about all this is the idea that Calcrick and Drachnima needed a 25 perception to notice the sun rose in the north.
Well, most people aren't paying attention to the sun rising, especially in a environment where Lani doesn't know which way's north right now.
No. I don't even know how I got here.
She would just assume that the sun rises in the east and happens to like no resurrection. So that's probably fair enough. It's the realization that, oh, hang on, the world has turned around.
It was a 15 to notice it was rising in the wrong direction.
And I got
Yeah.
11. So Lonnie's still trying to get her bearings as to where she actually is. Because to her, it's been years. Or seemingly a very long time. So,
Yes, and to Lani, she's on the edge of a great lake because there's no ripples.
which is... That's no ocean.
But
I've seen oceans. That's no ocean.
it only took Yolani years because she kept believing in being undying. If she had just let herself die first up, it would have been only a night. It would have been all on and nothing.
Alas.
But fighter means determined.
I'm still not dead yet, so not
Does
giving up that
Will
title.
need to roll?
Luwalk can make a perception roll to see if he notices anything weird. It's okay, Lani didn't. Lani's too distracted.
Yup.
Well,
I think I can't use these dice.
Lani's
These dice always
not
roll
a
terribly.
perceptive person.
What a
Well,
shame.
if they roll bad, that means that they're bound to roll good, on average.
No, I think they're not balanced right.
Because it's shiny. It's sparkly. And I don't think they bounce correctly.
Hey, this dice is actually balanced to roll more ones than 20s.
And yet, you get all the funnies.
I got up to 15.
Got up 15, then you do notice that the
I rolled suck.
sun rose in the north,
Mm.
and that there's no longer waves on the coast.
The ocean
And the
is
tide's not
Mentioned
moving.
this.
completely
You're the
still.
first one to mention it, the others were just staring at it going, oh. Calcrix went to play,
Well-
poke it to see if it was actually water.
Yeah. And I also asked
and
Lani
Jackima was
and pointed out to
more,
Lani.
Jackima was more thinking about, hang on, that the centre of the island mountain plateau that we're heading towards, that was to the north when we went to sleep, and now it's back to the east. Unless something weird happened.
I think
The world is all askew.
association with the Feywild has happened. I think is one part of what's going on.
Calbrick says, "Oh dear gods."
And you see a tiny little star rise in the east not long afterwards.
Do we recognise what star it should be?
I don't think that's what
The constellations?
It doesn't fit any constellation you know of. Looks like
Okay.
a new star to you.
Yep.
Do we have any idea?
Obviously an
what it could
omen
be?
of world-changing events.
Though with the
A
perception
new star in the sky?
though with the perceptions that you both made, you would assume that's the actual sun you're used to.
Yeah. Or someone coming to visit. We should make tea. Or possibly both.
Well, they would expect that that's the actual sun because the sun has lost power since the Titan arose.
Oh, gold.
Literally.
Yeah.
They moved the planet.
Calcrix is
Right.
very,
So
very apprehensive.
on with our
and worried.
project of saving the world.
Did we lose our moon? Do we have moons? The moon?
There are two moons, but you only can see one.
Mm.
And what you don't realise is the cat person's not here because you never saw them.
I don't know what Calbrick they're
Yeah.
talking about.
Yes.
And the
Oh,
other,
no, because you saw the cat people at the village.
No,
no, she wasn't there.
well, at the main village
main
before
village,
we
yes.
before we went to the gate.
Okay,
Yeah,
If you hear us talking about cat people,
I
that
think
would be
it's
a
them.
concept. Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's Lionel and his gang over there, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. That's what I called him. My notes.
Bob was one of them.
Okay.
Known as Bob.
Known as Bob.
Known as Bob.
Yes. He did tell us his real name was unpronounceable by anybody without a
I'm sure it's
without one of their throats.
And the ability to hear outside the normal range.
Oh
Yes. Yeah, yes.
yeah, I'm sure it's a frequency
Yeah.
not perceptible to humanoids.
Yes.
So
It's
those,
good.
his version of the words would be lesser folk.
Well, yes, because they're arrogant pricks. Everyone knows the best people around are elves. Anyway, so. Well, that's the thing. Almost everybody thinks like this.
Can we hear anything in the surrounding wilderness?
Yes, you hear a lot of confused animal squawks.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Things.
We'd be amongst them.
Yes.
Squawk.
Is there any evidence of
yeah,
fish
noises.
or crabs or
Sounds
things like
alarm.
that in the ocean that have been affected?
Nothing that has appeared on the shore, but things may be not far out in the water. You can see Calcrix on the edge of the sea itself, but nothing seems to be attacking her.
Okay.
Why would something be attacking me immediately on the edge of the sea?
Because it might
Well,
be
no.
outside.
Jack Dimmer was more the idea of thinking about when there's any fish floating in the ocean or things like that. The idea of thinking, hang on, if the ocean stopped moving, then that could have other impacts as well. So.
It will in a couple of days.
I suggest we
Keep going.
Get going.
reach the centre quickly.
Let's
Yes.
get going.
At which point you notice that the sun moves slightly to the west as it's coming over, and then slightly to the east. And then it heads a little bit north again.
What's it dodging?
Maybe it's searching.
I'm looking for
That's just
something.
as worse.
That's. I don't know which one of those is scarier. Okay.
Well, that's the thing. If it's hunting for something, then it might be hunting for us. If it's dodging something, what is dodging might be coming for us. So either way around, but
Don't
should
like
hunt.
either of those.
No, we don't.
So we get going. Straight through the valley.
Well, you're having to cross a great swamp first.
It's called.
The swamp has no name,
Ah.
but the swamp itself is. You got to cross about 12 miles of swampland.
Oh, great.
Okay.
That's pretty much a day in its own right.
Yes. Yes. Even given the non-ground contact transport methods we've got available, we still have to be careful.
It's also home of the gator folk.
I was gonna say.
Yes.
Gator. I might try to see if there are.
That's obviously why all the inhabitants here wear clocks. They can walk across the swamp easily.
Exactly. I might see if there are things around to make like a rudimentary raft of some kind.
There are plenty of trees and reeds and.
I will direct other people to grab them.
Well, we can go beyond rudimentary because I've got fabricate as a ritual.
And you also have someone with a folding boat.
That's
Ooh.
a good point. We do too.
Doesn't Dracnomir have a folding boat?
No, it got left in Glentree.
What?
They can walk in the folding boat. It was a patch on his cloak.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Uh,
it was a standard boat on his rope of many items, not a folding boat.
okay.
Okay.
So when it got used, it couldn't be taken with us when we had to go. We were flying or teleporting somewhere afterwards. So.
Yes, that is one of the things with those robes. You really need like 3 of them.
Okay.
Well, visit the halflings. You can replenish the batches.
Oh,
So,
good point.
Lonnie, knowing boats, will help
But
direct on
It-
how to make a fan boat.
is it actually a swamp that's so wet that there's not actually terrain to walk along, or is rafting going to be faster than walking?
There is no real solid ground unless you're walking through the treetops.
Right.
Okay.
And like it's a thing. It's like with terrain, you'll have to worry about quicksand and stuff.
Absolutely. No, I'm more than exactly. There's more just confirmation as yet. Swampy was the swamp. So.
And all the green ground is just plant life.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the plants are well below the water lines and then sticking out over the top.
Lonnie's very much insisting on a boat.
Definitely boat.
I've seen way too many videos of people actually like just wading through swamps in the middle of the night, and,
Yeah.
and they're like,
No,
"Oh,
that's
hello,
not safe.
gator. Just bye bye, swamp kitty." I'm just like,
No.
that gives me too much anxiety.
Yeah,
so
well, that's
if it
perfectly
was the
reasonable.
crocodiles of Northern Territory,
Just-
you wouldn't be doing that.
Just dead.
No. Or any crocodiles really. They're
Absolutely.
all
Yeah.
painful.
Exactly.
But some of the alligators
It's
of
the
Florida
alligators.
aren't as deadly, but they can still kill you.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
like they'll
that's
still-
my
they'll
point.
still attack.
It's still bad.
Like they'll still attack and stuff, but they're
Yeah.
not as immediately going to kill
That's right.
you
Although-
as crocodiles are.
Yeah. Although there is the thing we're rather better equipped than most swamp travellers.
Okay, so yes, Lani starts directing you in how to build a raft, but staying away from all the foliage.
It's not okay. So the trees are fine. I'm okay with the trees as long as they don't have like willow branches hanging down.
Yeah.
And then the reeds, don't trust those at all. Cattails, absolutely not. No thanks.
But next door.
So anything longer than like 5 inches, no.
I could recast my fine steed. In fact, it's probably worth doing here. Recast my fine steed to get a giant crocodile,
Mm-hmm.
because you can get a giant lizard. It's a swamp. Getting a crocodile instead.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
So-
so you have a exceedingly large crocodile showing up.
Yep.
Black and brown scales.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, if it stops and closes its eyes, you won't see it in the swamp. You think this
And then
is
you realise you haven't actually cast your spell yet.
I was waiting for someone to mention that.
So, no, okay. So
Also,
Emma's
that was
certainly
what
happy
he-
to chop down some logs and bind them together, and then
Yeah.
possibly Elskid would be moderately happy to pull the raft along.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I went for a large crocodile, because he can tow it.
And Druzzle does have horse with him as well.
Good point.
Yeah.
So you can make an exceedingly large raft,
Yes.
which you might need to put the a card on it.
Yeah, that's actually that's I think the fact that people are going to be able to go on the raft is going to be incidental to having enough lift for the wagon.
So you have a crocodile and then a horse and elk skin.
But you do notice that the raft wheels don't sink. The
cart's wheels
cart's
don't.
wheels don't sink.
Yes.
Sink.
Which means, we still want a good sized raft though. Yeah.
Well, it depends upon how much space there is between upwards of trees and things like that poking through the swamp.
Yes.
Because you don't want a 4 metre wide raft if most of the gaps are 1 metres wide.
Yes.
Considering the size of the trees in the swamp, you're expecting 10 to 20 meters between trees, but
Yep.
occasionally quite a few together.
Yes.
So you just need to go around clumps.
Thank you, Edmund.
So those
We
clumps
will
would
make
be a
an
safe place
appropriate
to stay
size
the
raft
Yes.
and
It's just,
or the least safe place to stay the night, depending on if that's where the nests are.
we can check that out and clear the nests. And of course we then have the protection of having a honking great big crocodile with us that can fly, because I'm doing it at 4th level.
Okay, so
Gets more hit points that way too.
you travel through the swamp fairly effectively with your raft and your 3 large helpers.
I like how you
Draft
very
beasts.
specifically have to say, helpers.
Yeah. Well, 3 draft beasts, 2 of which can be spoken to. Don't know if you can talk to your elk. Is it actually an animal companion or just a mount?
It was provided by Drezel.
Which means it's probably an animal companion, similar to the fine steed critter.
And you find that it understands you when you talk to Draconic.
Okay.
but it doesn't talk back.
It does not talk back.
Yeah, that's fine. Neither does mine. I can communicate with it telepathically though.
So yes, you managed to get it through the swamp before the tiny star went all the way over.
Yeah.
Though it was almost many crisscrossings of the main sun during that time. So the sun didn't actually set.
Because it went about 3 times the distance it's supposed to.
Well, it's not supposed to go north or south.
Well, no, at all. So yeah. Pink stuff.
Watermelon.
Ooh, very nice, thank you.
Let's see if you can grab my little tray thing you did for me.
Yes.
Your snack?
Yeah.
I gave you food.
I'm trying to figure out how that makes sense. Oh, okay, so the planet didn't move. The sun just got smaller. And then the other sun is now around us.
So if the planet didn't move
Uh,
and the sun
I suspect there's a lot of potential theories.
I'm thinking of, yeah, that's, like, I'm trying to put it together in my head how that makes sense.
As I said, our group possibly has a better chance of having a closer or more correct theories than the rest of the world at the present time.
So, from Fitz's
Could-
perspective, the main sun's not putting out as much light.
Yeah.
Or
Yes,
visible
as
light
is
as the case is.
The avatar of the sun
Because
is
the
no longer active,
no,
I
which
could,
And
makes the sun
the
less
sun
active.
is the thing that's moving
Of course.
around.
yes, I could give Raphael
That's
a
right.
call.
And of course,
Okay.
the primordial element of the sun is very active
And
and
he's
has
providing the light.
when we last
directly.
looked, and now it's still flying around. So
Makes sense.
And as it's a flying creature, it goes wherever the hell it wants.
Yes.
Which is why sometimes the sun rises in a different direction.
Yes.
well, and often the sun is not actually setting. Until it decides to go and have a look around the other side of the world.
Yeah. As I said, I could give Raphael a call and ask, or at least one of Raphael's minions.
Should we not just start heading towards the centre of the Island?
Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna
they
say.
did. They spent the day traveling through the swamp after waiting around.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep.
Uh,
We had a big old
with
crocodiles.
a raft
Oh, okay.
being drawn by a large crocodile, a
Nice.
large elk, an oversized elk, and they're big enough as it is,
Nice.
and a
Giant horse.
Giraffe.
a
Horse.
giant horse
Right.
that's actually a dragon.
And a dragon.
So we were going at a moderate clip for a raft.
This is good.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
So is it night time now?
Closer
And
to
do we reach
No.
solid ground by the time that the little sun disappears or starts to disappear in the west?
Yeah.
Well, you realize that it's what you'd normally consider nighttime, as the tiny star that you can see during the day drops below the horizon, but it's still bright.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we certainly, Akima was spending a good part of the day kind of, confirming in his own mind at least that, that sun is following the path, the little star is following the path that the sun should have been taking.
Yes.
And that therefore the world hasn't turned sideways.
Yet.
Well, I mean, if
So-
the primordial sun is out, isn't that good for us against the supposed were crocodiles?
Hmm.
If it's not nighttime. I don't know.
Also, if the moon's weaker as well, it may have less effect on the werewolves, on the rare critters, and you may have a lesser power,
Less
lower
powerful-
powered version.
Of a were critter.
Or they're permanently stuck in their were form.
Or
Okay.
Therefore.
whatever form they were in last.
Yes, which will make them pissed off.
It'd be
But
more
also-
likely the most primordial form they have
Makes
is
more
what they're
sense.
stuck in,
Yes,
Yeah.
which
okay.
would be the hybrid.
Yes.
It is also likely that in this part of the world,
Expect it to be
like the
bad.
folk are probably less dependent upon the moon anyway.
Yes.
Yeah, true. True.
Okay, so yes, you
Hope
managed
the
to
moon rise.
You managed to make it through the swamp without encountering any of the werecrocs that you heard were here.
Yep. They
No ROUSs?
No ROUSs either.
They probably smelt the horse and the elk and went and the large croc and went bugger that.
There are not many werecrocs are willing to take on a dragon.
No.
Good news for me.
Yes.
And as you reach the end of the swamp, you see a idyllic-looking valley heading north, or what you believe to be north, hard
Yeah.
to tell, with a strong
Yes.
river running into the swampland.
North enough at the moment.
So that there's a slight current going out into the ocean from here. Not
Okay.
enough to show ripples, but
Yeah, but there is some flow.
Mm.
Yeah.
Is it potentially the river wide enough and the current shallow enough that it's worth rafting up the river instead of walking?
you could raft up the river. The river itself is close to 2 miles in width,
Oh, easy then.
but
Yeah.
you sure will get thinner and thinner as it starts to elevate.
Well, might as well take the raft for as long as we can take it.
Yep. With the elk and the pseudo horse on the raft, being towed by the ridiculously large alligator crocodile.
Did
That is sunset.
did the light just get brighter?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's darker outside.
Yeah.
I wasn't going mad.
No,
No.
that's the home sunset routine.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Whenever the sun sets, this table lights up and the front
Yep.
door lights up.
It surprised me as well.
Yeah. I'm just like.
Well, the closer we get to Christmas, the later it happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's even more surprising is that doesn't have effect just occurred to the characters. As the sun went down, it got brighter.
So yes, you're looking at having to rest on the edge of the river as the bright sun is above.
Calcrix will
Walking
make
around.
an evening.
Is there any evidence? Sorry, go on.
Calcrix is just making an evening tea, and she'll also have her nightly prayers to all her gods. And mention that she finds all of this a little bit scary, and some reassurance would be appreciated.
Possibly before Kelcrick gets settled into that nightly routine.
Yep.
Is there evidence of one of the shelters appearing on the edge of the river at all?
Well, when you come to the edge of this river, you don't see any shelters, but you do see what looks like circles of stone.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they probably like shelters, but
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll go and have a look. Check it out.
Yeah.
And we can use it for the tower as well.
Yeah.
So,
Well, the tower will not work tonight.
that's a good point, because
Mhm.
you've
only got
it doesn't
one.
work every night.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it only works every second,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
It is
Yeah.
correct. Assuming that the magic still works the same with the primordials away.
Yeah.
Which would be a little chancy as well, sort of activating the thing and finding out it's now a 30-foot mimic is not something we want to do.
So
it did work
we
on
shall.
with the primordials.
That's true.
Yes. You moved
So
to the circle of rocks.
Yes.
We'll investigate these circle of rocks anyway and see if they're going to envelop. Otherwise, if they've got anything else interesting about them.
Yes.
So as you reach the rocks are at least 5 foot in height.
Okay.
Oh, 5 foot. Yeah.
Oh, so rocks.
That's
Okay.
about as big as
Yeah.
me.
Well, no.
Like real life me.
Oh, real life you, yes.
I'm gonna say they're as big as Lonnie.
And each of them looks as if it's got writing on them.
I'll definitely investigate that.
So looking at it, it doesn't translate automatically for you.
Oh.
So it's not the language we can read.
No, I can read everything, including stuff that can't be read by some of the gods. I can't read
But
this,
it was more.
which
It was
means...
more just the first question of
Yeah.
if it was in a normal language.
No, it's not a normal language. I cannot read it.
And
Yeah.
looking at
It's-
it, you get
It's encrypted.
you get a feel that it's old.
Oh, this is way old.
And your assumption is it's older than the god giving you power.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This
Because
is Titan primordial.
Yes, this is primordial language.
It reminds you a lot of Nithian,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
but Nithian's more refined.
Yeah, well, it's...
So
had like an extra
proto
1,000 years worth
Nithian.
of- 1,000
Looks
years
like
of
what
development.
Nithian based their language on.
Based on that, I could try and work some sort of translation from it. This is where I get to make a history roll,
Ariadna,
Which
may I
one?
request water?
which I'm particularly good
Thank
at.
you.
So,
Okay, so give me a society roll as you look at it.
society,
Yeah.
cultures.
Cultures, yeah. Culture, society, similar thing.
Yes.
I run too many games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all right. We can translate. Fortunately, I have expertise on culture.
These are pretty substantial glasses.
They are.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mandalorian glasses for you.
Yes.
It's
Oh, because we
22.
got them free.
You got 22?
Yes.
Okay, so as you're looking at it, trying to decipher it, you find that as you touch the images, you start to see a story.
I
movie.
will read it that way.
And
So I touch.
you realize it's not a language.
It's pure imagery.
It's
Which is why- which is-
iconography.
Yes, which is why it looks like Mythian, because they use hieroglyphics. And hieroglyphics is a derived form of pure imagery.
And when
So
you
this
touch
is-
it, everyone
this
else
is a
sees the image as well.
This is a speaking stone.
So it's just the one stone?
All of
them.
All of them have this on there.
Or all
It's
of
just, I'm
them?
only touching one of them right now.
Okay, and each one does.
Did all
each
the
one-
symbols
has
appear to be the
different
same?
symbols.
They do not appear.
On each of them?
No, each one's got
Okay.
its own story.
How many were there again?
Yeah, happy with that?
Looking at them,
A
I'd
bunch.
probably say about 15 to 20 of them.
Okay, in a
It's a fairly
circle.
large circle.
I've
Yeah.
got some research to do.
And as you
Everyone else
touch,
can watch it.
as everyone else sees the story appear, it seems to be the story of the children of the Titans.
Okay.
This is particularly interesting stuff.
And what is the
written by Io and Ka.
Wow.
story? The original storytellers.
Yeah.
Saying that this is the birthplace of their descendants.
Yeah. I'm taking notes.
And talking about how this is where they have firstly awoken to intelligence and realizing that the primal Titans do not have intelligence.
Ooh. Right, so they've got cunning.
And while the primal Titans return to this island on a regular basis, they do not live here.
Ah. So it's only for their children.
It's only their birthing grounds.
Yes.
And that it talks about how Ka being the father of his people,
Yeah.
none of them had his intellect. They reverted back to that of his parents.
So the primal titans don't have the intellect of like Io and Ka.
No. They have cunning and lots of power.
And
It's going to make them hard to persuade.
and that they have made contact with the elemental rulers. They are not children of the Titans.
No, the elemental rules are a different thing again.
It's hard to keep
So
it
they're
all
using-
straight.
They're using the power of the primordials.
They are equivalent of primordials,
Yeah.
but purely elemental. They have no worldly connection.
Yeah.
So the titans are being used by the elementals, or the elementals are using
Neither.
the
Neither.
They
The-
both
Can you
have the same
say that
elemental
again?
attribution.
So the elemental rulers are another form of immortal that is different to the primal titans.
Okay.
So they're
They-
not
they-
connected to the Titans.
They are not the same.
They're just the
family
same
line.
power source.
So where does this fall in the story that they're telling us?
That the dragon Io and the T-Rex Ka have discovered them
And they're in this
in this valley.
valley.
This is their home. Not the home of the elemental titans or the elementals. This is the home of Ka and Io.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there will be probably, say, prayers of apology to both of them on entry, just in case we annoy one of them.
Oh, this is
On the other-
Carprix's grandfather, so it's
Yeah.
more of a case of she's visiting.
Well, yeah. Plus both of them have pointed us in this direction. so-
She's very much, Grandpa!
Yeah.
This is where you live. Why
So-
didn't you tell me earlier? That kind of thing.
Seems this circle is all about how they awoke to find that besides them, they were alone in this world.
Yeah.
Everything else was a bestial nature.
So did they going round the stone? Did they shape intelligent beings, or did they just find other ones and get them together?
Ka has been the driving force between teaching
Right.
others to interact with the world. And what it says is also that Ka managed to connect to the Feywild and the Feydark, where there are the Queen of Darkness and the Queen of Summer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, Queen of Air and Darkness and the Summer Queen.
Oh, there's a separate Queen of Air.
Okay.
There's the Queen of each element.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Queen of Darkness is also the elemental Queen of Darkness, not
So-
just the Queen of Darkness.
Sorry, what was Car's relationship to? He discovered the Feywild and the Feydark?
Yes, he discovered the connections of the Feydark and the Feywild to this world.
And used them.
Sorry. Goes faster than I can write.
That's right.
And it was through this understanding that Ka eventually became a god.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it implied in the story that R and Io have created these stones and left their own story, or does it seem the story was written by somebody else?
It's hard to tell, but it seems to be in their voice.
Yeah.
Well, you recognize the voice of Ka, not the voice of Io.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've met Io, so yeah. But it's definitely them, because I don't think at the time these were written there was somebody who was capable of actually impersonating them.
Well, but it was also the sort of thing of whether or not it was written by them effectively contemporary to the time, or whether it was written by somebody else
Much later.
having worshipped them much later in the period.
Whoever did it made it sound like Ka, which means either he got them to do it, or they're being very naughty and probably didn't survive.
And what you realize is touching it doesn't translate it. The imagery
He just presents it.
presents itself to you,
Yeah.
and you understand it.
Yes.
So it's understanding through imagery, not words.
Yeah.
But you hear the voices,
Yeah.
even if you don't understand what the voices say.
It's sort of a primal writing. Yeah.
And
the style of it comes across.
when the first one's completed, and obviously we've had time to try and absorb it in our own minds type stuff,
And take notes.
another one, or is it that the whole, like each one together gives that whole story you were talking about?
As you touch the next one, nothing seems to happen. You think it's the entirety of the circle told through a single story.
Okay.
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
no matter,
yeah,
no matter
I
which
agree with
one you touch.
Yeah, but it was a good length
Starts
story.
there.
It was a good length story. So all the stones
Yeah.
together is the one
Is
story,
the
and we got it
story.
all at once.
But what
Yeah.
this doesn't tell
Uh-huh.
is Io's tale.
Yeah.
This was the tale of Ka.
Calcrix
So we gotta look
tries
for
the-
touching all of the stones to see if she can find Io's tail.
And
Yeah.
what you also believe is that Ka may have forgotten that story.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
Well, certainly that was the, I don't know whether it was character knowledge or not, but certainly player knowledge had it that Pa did not remember being mortal.
No, Ka was one of the few who did. He remembered being the only
Oh, he was-
sentient
He
dinosaur.
was the oldest, he was the oldest who didn't remember being mortal that night.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And it's the reason why he preserves the races is he remembers being mortal.
Mm.
And
what
being the
happened.
one who taught them how to be the racers. Maybe. But yeah, this is going to be a story that will be told at some point.
So characters.
And what you realize is the Queen of the Feywild is known as Terror now.
Right.
Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So it doesn't actually take on the aspect of summer takes all the seasons,
Yeah. It just
but
goes.
is known as Mother Earth.
Yeah. It's basically, hi, I'm going to be just inclusive.
Well, except of all that newfangled stuff.
Well, she made up the newfangled stuff and became it.
So TRRA, as
Yeah.
in
Yep.
Mother Earth.
Terror.
T-E-R-R-A, yes.
It's not terror, that's rather a different god.
So she is the sponsor of many of the nature gods,
Yeah, oh, of course.
Makes sense.
but no one
Now,
does not remember her own origin.
I'm guessing that after we've seen the story of the rock and realised that all the stones hold the story together, so it meant that touching one stone at random, you didn't pick up the story halfway through and had to try and work out what the order of the stones was, so that was handy.
It was the whole
By the
ring.
time it's finished, I'm guessing that the small new star has well set, and
Well, when the
it's
story
not not be
finishes,
dark.
you see the new star rising, realizing that you've probably been in a trance for the entire night.
Okay. Well, that answers the immediate question was not big enough. Great. The sun's gone down. We're still going to find secure shelter, but apparently not. And
No, the ring was obviously protective enough. That and having a walking great crocodile.
Do we feel exhausted in the morning then,
You do not.
or do we feel
We've been supported, so we will continue. If people have to nap during the day, then we'll do that because we can.
But you know that there is another part of the story further in the ravine,
There will have to be, and that may be Io's,
or a continuation.
or yeah, either or both. There's probably more rings than these two.
I'm not certain how we would tell, although actually it might be from the images we saw. You mentioned the fact that this island was home. Did this valley appear similar or the same in the storyline?
It's this location, not just this island.
It is this particular valley that you had images of.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it may be actually worth checking the other side of the river to see if Io and Car might have been on opposite sides of the river rather than opposite ends of the valley.
Oh yeah, I'm going to send Oyo up to check out both sides of the river as we go.
You're going to send your bird.
Yes.
Your bird flies up, feeling a bit hesitant at first.
I have no problem with him going for a, say, 25 or 30 foot flight ceiling.
Until he realizes that it doesn't matter how high he flies.
Yeah.
Whatever effect was there earlier is gone.
Gone. Okay, cool. That simplifies things. He can fly 100 yards up straight overhead and see both sides.
Which means whatever connection to the Feywild might have been broken.
Or just pushed further away for a short while. But
Or possibly Calvert can fly up, because rather than
Yeah.
waiting for images, waiting for information through the bird.
What would Calvert like to do?
Well, Calcrix was trying to touch stones just to see if they reacted differently to her touch as opposed to Lules and Drachnimas. And I also wanted to find out if she has any insight, if this is Cast, or if she has any insight as to where Io's story lays, because, you know, even though she does appreciate and respect Car, as her grandfather, so she has
Yeah.
a greater interest and motivation in trying to find or figure out where his story is.
So you don't get a
So
story
you're
from touching the stones again in the morning, or previously at night.
Mhm.
So after the story goes through, it doesn't seem to work again.
Right.
And Lowell mentioned that there might be another one on the other side of the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that enough for Calgary to go?
Well, yeah, I was going to fly
You'll
across
go-
the river to
We'll go
see
straight there. Yes.
whether or not there's another thing there.
Yes.
Uh,
Wary of flying unpleasantness.
since I can fly across the river, but then Drachnimo can also fly across the river if he wants to. And technically, so can Lure.
The problem with Jack Dimmock's only got limited flight options. Going a few miles, he'd take the boat if he was going across the river.
You do forget you have wings.
You have wings.
Yeah, that's what I do it with now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking of my pipe.
Yeah,
So,
I know. But yeah, you
um,
can use that for faster flight when you need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would
Or when
would
you
have
can't use the
had
actual.
I wouldn't have gone too far. I would have had a look just to see if there's anything.
Okay, so
Well, but the river was a few miles wide at
It is
this
2
point.
miles.
So,
2 miles
But it
wide.
was getting
That's fine.
narrower as we went up, so I don't know how wide it is at
well,
this point.
at the point you
We haven't gone up at all.
Okay, yep.
Yeah,
You found the
it's
standing stones near the end of
wide
the
and
river.
it's
Okay.
wide and slow. And
Okay,
so
so I
flying
will
across it just
I'll
takes
give
time.
Cal Creeks a perception roll with
Well,
advantage.
it being 2 miles wide, are people happy for her to just have a quick scout across by herself, or
No,
does
that's-
like Lani or someone want to ride on her back?
Lonnie will
Or-
ride with.
Learning the Dragon Rider.
Yep.
New title.
And
Dragon Friend.
so what did I have to roll?
You get to roll perception with advantage.
With advantage, that's 2
You can
rolls.
Percepticate
That
too.
is 2 rolls.
I It
Well,
probably
it was
was
exactly
while-
the same roll both times.
Oh, okay.
That gives me 23. I don't know if
So
that's
throw
enough.
away the bad one.
Okay, so across the river, up in the mountains, probably about 6 miles away, you see another shrine.
Okay, yep. So, I will let everybody know I can see another shrine. 6 across the river.
About 6 miles from where you started.
Yep.
Well,
In the
there's no- I
mountains,
was
you said?
going to say that Jack Dimmer was suggesting that we would get the raft underway, heading upriver
Yeah.
while Cal Creeks and Lani went across, on the idea that, well, we wouldn't get. And it turned out, well, we've got the current to go back, even though it's full current,
Mm.
but then going across instead. So, but
Yeah, it's easy
by
enough.
the sound of it, it's worth going back down again.
And from Cal Creek's perspective, that makes sense that Car would be on the grassland area, and that the dragon would be up in the mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. The mountains is where we want to head towards.
Well, across the other side of the river is where she sees.
Okay.
It's not heading into the center. It's
Yeah.
crossing the river.
Okay, so we're sort of going that way. Alright.
We will certainly take the raft across and beach it or tie it up securely, and then heading up into the mountains apparently.
How long does it take to travel?
It's
Is that quite different?
With flight, most of you would only take about 2 hours to fly that, at most.
Yep. I think we've all got flight of some sort, or Lani can ride me. Lua's got either a carpet or a
Or a flying
yeah,
crocodile.
yeah. Oh, it's essentially what a dragon is, right?
Yeah, except this one doesn't have wings.
I can say that to a dragon.
No, well,
Well, my riding drake's not a real dragon, it's just sort of dragony.
Yeah. So 2 hours would be good time.
It would be.
Yep.
Okay, so considering technically you could take all of you with most of you there pretty easily, just leaving the cart behind.
The cart.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is Drazzle happy with that?
Druzzle just shrugs, going, "Can't see anyone stealing it."
Well,
No,
going backwards is not going to be hard.
no. Well, we'll make sure it's secure, just like the raft,
Actually-
as Draknamel suggested.
Actually, given that cart, I wouldn't be surprised if we travel over there somewhere and there's this pop some night and it turns on.
Yeah.
He
Well,
has left it
I
behind.
mean, I think we're coming back here anyway, so that's fine.
Yes. We're just looking for rocks right now. We have multiple methods.
Okay, so landing by the circle, these look less like stones and more like teeth sticking out of the ground.
Yeah, this
That
is
makes
my own
sense
thing.
too.
Hello, Puss. Come.
Almost arranged in a jaw-like formation.
Of course, it's a dragon.
How big is your...
Big enough that you could probably fit the biggest boat you've been on.
5 foot teeth. How big's that jaw going to be?
Jack Dimmer will be a bit cautious about looking for the upper jaw.
Well,
Yeah.
where the mouth, where the throat would be for where the jaws meet, you see what looks to be a alcove with a sort of shrine there.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
That one.
Do I know what kind of things you would leave at the shrine in honor of Io?
No, you barely know Io at this point. You've learnt a few things, but not much about who Io was and what his worshippers followed.
Yes. Generic dragon, I'd go for a shiny treasure thing, but to make it worthwhile for someone like Io, it would have to be more wealth than we've got.
Well, does it appear to be this shrine? Because there wasn't a shrine to Ka, was there? It was just a circle of stones?
Considering
it's
who,
alcove.
considering who the previous circle you saw earlier, considering who it was, that may have been a shrine to Ka.
The whole thing would have
Oh
been
yeah,
shiny
no,
at that point.
but I mean the point was, it wasn't something that we felt necessary to leave an offering behind.
No.
No,
In
the
that case,
alcove. There's an alcove in the jaw-like teeth one,
Oh no, there is an alcove here. But the
and
other
that
one, no.
looks
Yeah.
like a shrine. Yeah.
But for the thing with Ka is actually listening to that story would have been an act of worship for him.
No, that's all good. Of course,
Preservation of
confirming that
Yes.
this one is set up differently.
This one is set up differently.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
got teeth.
Well, and it's got a shrine,
Yeah, different layout and all sorts of things.
also, and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
But again, being Io, learning
That's a good logical. That's okay.
is
Yep.
also going to be an act of worship.
Yeah.
Or at least an act of veneration.
Well, it's
Learning-
also we don't know we know more about Ka than we know about Io.
that at the very least, Jack Dimmer would have at least touched one of the tooth-like stones
Yes.
as we were getting into there, just on the idea of one doing for size and exhibit type stuff.
Yeah.
But if that also activates the images, well, otherwise we'll keep heading into the shrine area.
So,
Yes.
go ahead, Ariel.
Well, upon seeing the teeth and the alcove and the shrine, Gargux would want to approach the shrine.
Mhm.
Does anything happen when she enters the area?
Well, most of you are entering at the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
So, considering you want to do that, and someone wants to touch something before you get in there.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know how you
Okay.
pick order for that.
I'm assuming you're wandering in at the same time.
Yep.
And as you're passing the teeth, Dracula touches one of the teeth.
Yep.
And he feels something that is very smooth. Looks as if it hasn't. It is. It doesn't show any signs of tool markings
Or deterioration. Well,
And obviously, brush these teeth every night to no decay.
yeah. You know, if they're dragon teeth, particularly ancient gold dragon teeth, I'd be surprised if there was any deterioration
That
at all.
do not feel like. Did not
No,
feel like.
it's stones. They're shaped. But
I
yeah,
have one question.
let's do it.
Where did he get a toothbrush big enough?
I'm sure his minions do it for him.
Yep.
You know, like pilot fish.
Yeah.
And Calcrix and Lowell head towards the central bit while
Alcove thing.
while you're watching Drachnamir admiring the smoothness of the rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what can I see at the shrine? Does it look old, new? Are there things left there?
The shrine itself doesn't look as if anything's left on top of it,
Okay.
but it does look like an altar.
Okay.
And it has what appears to be a indentation in the center of it,
Mm-hmm.
which to you is the size of a dragon's egg.
Okay. Yeah. Is there any sort of writing or anything like that around it?
Not that you see on it. It all seems clear.
Did the image of this altar come up at all in Car's story?
It did not.
Okay. It wasn't like it was the birthplace or the hatching ground.
No.
I'll
Yeah.
kind of touch where the egg should be, and I'm wondering if this is like the egg that Io came out of, or that.
And as you touch it, you see little runes start to appear, spiraling out from the center.
Oh, okay.
And the runes are in a very archaic form of draconic.
Okay. So I understand them.
You do understand them, just that no one uses these forms.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very old language.
So that there's a
I'm taking notes though.
There's a hydroconic, and hydroconic makes this makes hydroconic look like it's common.
Okay. Is Drazzle there as well?
He is.
I asked Drazzle if he recognises this area, if he's been here before.
He does not. First time on island.
Calcrix wants to leave an offering. She digs in amongst her scales, and she pulls out one of 4 small dragon-shaped sapphire gemstones.
Mm-hmm.
These are her first gemstones that she ever got.
Mm-hmm.
When she opened up a secret compartment that she probably shouldn't have opened, she takes one of these out. They're very precious to her, and she knows they're not worth a lot in terms of wealth, but she's hoping that her connection and long connection to them will mean something to Io, and she will make an offering to Io, and her prayer is just she hopes to get to know Io more as he's her grandfather, and she wishes she knew her family because she grew up without one. Well, without a dragon family. And although that may be a blessing in some ways, she doesn't know her history or her heritage, so she'd like to.
Okay, so as you lay the offering, you see that the runes seem to be getting brighter,
Okay.
and they seem to tell a tale of basically how Io, while he's listed as the father of the gods, of the dragons, he's also the mother of the dragons.
That's slightly confusing to Calcrix, but she's taking it in.
Lizards, some lizards and reptiles do parthenogenesis.
She understands that.
Yeah.
But,
And that while he is the father of the dragons, he's also the father of many other races that came from that as well. He could not control what came after him.
Okay.
The primordial nature of the titans that were moving about meant not many things were what their parents were.
Yes, consistency wasn't a thing at the time.
Creation was spontaneous.
Creation was chaotic.
Sorry, please.
going flat.
Light was finding a way.
Yes. And some of it was doing it through IO.
And so it does talk of many different types of the draconic people.
Yeah. But that will also include things like lizard folk and so on, wouldn't it? Yeah.
This is also there, the mountains.
So, in terms of IOs, legacy IOs like birthed not just dragons, but also
Anything with scales, really.
all sorts of every kind of scaled creature you can think of. So she's got a bigger family than she thought.
Is it implied that he birthed dinosaurs, including Car? Does Car appear in the story?
It does mention that Io and Car are siblings.
Siblings. Right. Is there any mention
Which is why they were both involved in Car's story about creating and populating land.
Yeah, is there a connection
Is there,
between these two?
is there a
stories?
mention of of the common parent,
Parent.
or is Io their own parent?
Io just refers to the Primal Titans as its parents.
Right. No, fair enough. Oh, that's right. Yes, they came from Titans.
They came from the sick.
Yeah.
The six. They don't know which ones.
I was gonna say they don't know which combination. Could be all. Could be some.
And it could just be one, because just
like Io.
some of them are female
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they can't have eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a chaotic time. Everything could be anything. Sometimes all at once.
And it does say that the first dragons were mindless beasts.
Okay.
Is this why only Io can reason with the Titans?
Partly. But it does mention that he gave birth to two who could talk.
Yeah.
And is that
Bahamut.
Bahamut and Jesus.
and Tegesis?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is kind of stuff we have covered kind of on and off before. Is there sort of any information that is
This talks more about the starting of things.
the starting of things?
From
Well,
Io's perspective.
still, it's still important.
Very important.
But as far as we know, all of the mindless dragons are now dead and gone.
There are quite a few of them still around. Drakes themselves are considered mindless to most people.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the thing I've been writing.
Is, yeah.
And
It's-
some would say kobolds are rather mindlessly very cunning.
Well, yeah, some would. Yeah, they wear clothes though. But yeah,
Kobolds are fun, yeah, I like kobolds.
but the Drake I was writing,
Yes, yeah.
it's actually very similar to what,
So that kind of
to
thing.
to the thing that Drazzle's using as a horse.
Yeah.
And it's intelligent enough to understand you, but it doesn't talk.
Yep. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
just confirming something, correct, and I have got the things confused in my head. When Io treat the primals as effectively their parents, is that talking, are we talking about the same 6 critters that have been awakened from their sleep a few nights ago?
You believe so, but it's hard to tell because
Okay.
he doesn't talk to them as if they're asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that kind of, I can get it in my head, hang on, yeah, we want the primals as opposed to avatars, which is what we thought of one of the gods that was a part of it there. So,
Yeah, it gets
I can
confusing.
remember it.
Yep. Absolutely gets
But
confusing.
definitely the real thing that Carl wanted was getting his parents through. He was sick of the gods locking them up.
Yeah.
Though you don't believe that Ka became a god while his parents were awake.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No, because what he was doing to become a god would have taken a while.
I've got to go back to the story of the stones and the altar. Actually, does not necessarily involve the primordial because it's involving a time when Ka and it starts effectively from the time when Ka and Io are aware enough to start doing things.
That is correct.
The other
Is that right?
thing, the other
Yes.
thing is
Okay,
the primals have to be asleep for things to be non-chaotic enough for what they're doing to be reliable.
Yeah, no, they've got
If you're educating people, you want things to be reliable for some time. So
Yeah.
they had to have the primordials asleep to have that work.
Yeah.
Though it does mention that Io seems to be more powerful than Ka.
So it would be actually relatively unusual if they were the same.
As in, Io was born a god.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ka was
Because-
not.
Yes, Ka was made. Ka became one. He just happened to be a very unusual T-Rex.
So, Io had more, when the unknown considered they were born from amongst the six primordials, Io apparently got more of the father figure.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, and what gods have to do to become, what people have to do to become gods, Io had to be his sponsor because there wasn't anyone else.
Yeah.
He doesn't believe he had a sponsor. That's the thing.
Yes, but he
That's
doesn't
right.
remember a lot of this time. So Io was effectively a sponsor, whether he said he was a sponsor or not. His
His
worked
story
with
has
Ka.
him aware from the start.
Yeah, but Ka becoming a god, Io was helping. Io was.
I don't
backing
think
him up.
that's necessarily an
Is that
automatic assumption.
information we get from the
No.
story?
Well,
No.
they were working
you-
together. They were doing stuff together.
You get that they interacted, but you
Yeah.
don't get the feeling from either of
No.
them that they were assisting each other.
No. But there's nothing saying they weren't. And
So
Yeah.
that would be
I
kind
mean,
of Lula's
to
more
me,
personal theory.
it's
right?
more likely
with
you
no
still wouldn't get the
story.
fact that likely didn't have a sponsor, which from the rest of the party's perspective,
Yeah.
so Drake Dimmer was not part of the image of the gods dispute, but
well,
that would also then make it more understandable that Ka stepped in to protect the other non-sponsored god.
the other.
If-
There is the thing. There is the
If
thing.
it turned out Ka was also non-sponsored.
Yeah, there is the thing with it though. We don't know the mechanics of how sponsoring works. Is it solely social?
And
Is
I did mention
is it God power influence?
and Ka
Or
was
both.
influenced by the Queen of the Feywild,
Yeah,
which is his actual sponsor out of game.
yeah, yeah. So
Well, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
yeah,
Which is why he's a preserver of nature.
And how did the Queen of Darkness play into this then?
He contacted her.
Okay. The IO is not connected to Queen of Darkness, that's Ka.
That's Ka,
Yeah.
yes. Ka basically reached out and,
To the
with his
Fey.
awareness, connected to the elemental rulers, to the Fey rulers,
yeah.
and
So he brought those in.
But
he can.
But I'm assuming that-
Which actually,
when we said the images from the stones and from the altar were Ka and Io's story, does that story actually take them up, well, in the case of Ka, Does the story take him up until his ascension?
No, it
Well, I got
doesn't.
the impression that was much earlier in his life.
It's basically about him being aware and contacting people, and reaching out to these intelligences where none existed previously except his sibling.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He doesn't.
And
talk
does
of
that include the Queen of Darkness?
That does include the Queen of Darkness.
Yeah.
But he doesn't refer
Okay.
to the Io's children at all.
Yeah.
Huh. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
It was
The-
outside
Does
his-
Io story talk about his children?
Io did talk about his children. They're not talking at the same time.
I was gonna
Right.
say,
No, that's right.
I'm wondering why Io's children were not connected in Ka's story. And, like, Ka's story probably was a lot earlier than Io's children, perhaps?
Hard to tell because there's no frame of reference.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure there is no actual, like, consistent time at this time, because primordial time is chaotic.
It's also possible that the children of Io were born after Ka became a god.
Exactly. So, that makes sense. Interesting.
Okay, so
Family history. Ka's your uncle. He's your great uncle.
Yeah, great uncle. Yep. But then Drazzle's also a sibling, so
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, Giles is your brother.
Yeah.
Well connected.
everyone seems to be.
And from what you can gather from reading this is where a lot of the creatures who speak Draconic were birthed from.
Calcrix will try and make a note in her journal of the language that she sees coming from the egg, if she's able to. Obviously, she can't write down all of it, or can she?
Well, it's where an egg would sit. It's not an
Yeah.
egg itself.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean from the egg shape. I gather it's spiraling out from the egg
It does.
in like a hologram type of
Well,
way.
It's basically on the stone itself.
Right, okay.
So you can see that just lights up.
Yeah.
Then when it finishes being red, it just fades away.
Okay. After all of this, Calcrix sits down somewhere and digs in her bag of holding and pulls out a big chocolate cake. And just basically starts eating cake because this is beyond cookie time, it's cake time. Anyone else who wants chocolate cake may partake of the cake.
It's a bit brain frying, so
She needs the sugar. She's at this point where she's had to think a lot today. She's tired.
yes, that's all right. I can do all the thinking for you. That's okay.
Yeah. She just needs to. It's cake time.
Yeah. Yes. For me, it's cogitation and taking notes time.
And from this vantage point, you can see down the valley.
Cool. What can we
Or up
see?
the valley. Basically, it looks as if that there are outcroppings like this crisscrossing the valley all the way up.
Okay, so other shrines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And that along the riverside there are embankments like the stones that you saw for Ka either side of the river.
Calcrix kind of points that out to everyone and says, "Do you think part of our quest mission is that we need to visit these shrines and gather this information, or do you think we should be heading towards our
I
thing?"
think we need at least some more of these.
I was gonna say, I do think we need to stop along the way to reach the top. Like, this is meant to be a long, arduous journey, and
Yeah.
like, not to sound like a nerd over here, but knowledge is going to help us
Yeah,
the
yeah.
most. Directly.
In which case, Calcrix is going to make a map of where all these shrines are.
yeah.
Yes.
Which is good.
There's also the fact that, at least in Targ's case, it was clear that it was not his entire story.
No, that's very
So
true.
it could be the sort of thing that each shrine
Yeah, well,
goes
okay,
a bit further through his life.
they have to be, because what sort of loon would have the same story in multiple rings? That would be weird.
This could exactly be what happened. So
redundancy?
be careful what you.
Ensure the knowledge isn't lost.
Yeah.
You also see that along the river
just
seems
hope
to
it's gonna
be
be more than 1 day each.
multiple herds of
Yeah.
dinosaurs that look like crocodiles with large fins along their back.
Oh.
It's a magical Leopterodon. Okay.
Or a
They're
Spinosaur,
Dinotrons.
which would be...
The Spinosaur's more accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, they-
Although, a Spinosaurus is more likely to be on 3 legs.
Oh yeah. Yes. Well, there are some crocodilians with long rear legs too. But yeah, what I'm
But
hoping for,
I'd be more looking at like a dimetrodon.
Yeah.
what I'm hoping for is more than one
You said
one ring per day.
several herds.
Several herds of
Yeah.
Dimetrons who stick to
Yeah.
the river.
Yes, Dimetrodons aren't dinosaurs.
Mm.
They're pre-dinosaurs.
They're-
They're actually as close.
They're ancient lizards.
They are.
They're ancient lizards.
They're not lizards. They're reptilian, but they're not lizards. They're pre-lizards.
Whatever
They're
happens,
pre-lizards.
they
Okay,
are.
go.
That's what they are
I
for this
did
game.
mean ancient reptiles, not ancient
So,
lizards, yes.
Yes, they are. They're as closely related to us as they are to
gives them
lizards.
as
Yeah.
refers to them as Dimetrodons, and it says look crocodile-like, and that's all they left it at.
Yeah,
That's fair enough.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But under the D&D terms, they stick it under dinosaur because that
Yes,
just
okay.
everything.
It was simplified.
They probably thought of dinosaur checks.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is when they originally wrote that stuff, that was the knowledge.
They wouldn't
didn't know
know.
that. They didn't
Okay.
know that. Hold on. They didn't know that Dimetrodons were as closely related to animals as they are to
This
dinosaurs.
section was written about 2 years ago.
Well, in that case, they're just being, or they're using Gary Gygax's original writings, which is also possible.
Anyway,
This
with
does not so much
the
as
reality of the situation was set up.
the
Yeah.
role-playing game.
So yes, you think you could probably reach about 2 or 3 of them in a day,
Yep.
depending on how long it takes you to go through it.
Yeah. It's just,
Yeah.
It's just,
You didn't
Well-
lose any time looking at the writings on the shrine
yeah.
Right.
because it didn't tell you the story. You
Yeah.
had to decipher the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means
Alright.
faster reading.
How
That's
many
what I'm
did you
hoping
say
for.
we
Is
did?
not getting the.
Is it a day?
About 2
Yeah.
or 3.
It's not getting the. It takes us overnight to get the story, which is what we got with the first one.
Having seen those,
Still
having
gonna
drawn
take
them
us like
out,
3
having
days.
eaten a cake, Calcrick suggests since you could fit 2 to 3 in a day, we should move on to the next closest one.
Yes.
And at least from what you can see, the next one is on the same side of the bank you're on.
Cool.
Handy.
It simplificates it.
Cool.
Because hey, if you really want to make someone work for a story,
Yeah.
Calcrick looks up at it and says, "We have to do some more baking. We're going to need more cake."
Well, that's fair.
Are there any volunteers? Go back to the round.
Does
We
that mean
will have people while we're going through.
cake?
well, that is the GM role. So.
Oh, okay.
I was hoping for
Damn.
that to be the cake roll.
Yeah, I was hoping it was going to be the cake roll. You make 11 cakes.
Yes.
I think we get Drazzle to do that. We're busy.
Even
Well,
Calcrick's
except Greg was probably most interested, very interested in the story.
He's quite interested in the story. He does say that this is before he can go to.
I see. Yeah. So he's
yep.
madly writing as well.
So we will leave the.
Okay.
He considers it before time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. For most of. So
The
yeah,
land
we'll
before
leave the yes.
And
So we'll meet Slistax, which are another type of sort of semi-reptilian thing. So yeah, we'll leave the cart and the raft until then because we don't really need it right now.
Drizzle's horse is looking after the cart.
Yeah, I think that's dead safe. So
Okay, so yes, you managed to spend about 4 hours getting to the Standing Stones.
yeah,
Having spent a big chunk of the day getting from one to the other. And as you get down here, you realise that night comes quicker in the valley. If you because you're looking at where the small star goes across,
Yeah.
it drops behind you very quickly.
Yep.
Right.
The big star still moving around. The big sun is still moving erratically around the sky.
This day, the big star did not appear.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're in a very dim sort of twilight through the entire day.
Yeah. That's right.
Interesting.
We've got light spells and stuff.
It's sort of like moonlight coming from the small star.
Yeah.
And as you reach these stones appear to have, looking at the symbols, a different story on them.
Okay. Does this look different or the same as either of the other two?
It reminds you of the first one you saw.
So car.
Mm-hmm.
So our continuing cause story.
Yeah.
Well, didn't we stay on the mountainous side of the river?
You did. The mountains are on both sides of the river.
Okay.
The river cuts through the valley.
So if you
Yeah.
wanna, I guess, put in directions, we were on the west bank before, flew over to the east bank, more into the mountains, and then now we're on the east bank itself.
Or technically the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, sure, the other way, whichever way.
Thingy. Near the what's it?
Switch
Well, the cave guy and the original IO story.
You are, yes.
Yeah, same size.
But we're
as
getting a car store.
This is like cars.
Okay.
So they mix it up a bit.
Okay, so when you touch these stones, you get a different story starting.
Cool.
The story of Ka talking to all these new races that seem to be popping up
Yep.
and trying to teach them.
Of course.
Not that most of them can be taught.
He's trying. The only way you can work out whether they can or not is attempt it and see if it works.
And from what you see in the pictographs and the story that goes through your mind is that most of the creatures he's teaching are children of Io.
Yeah, fair enough.
And then children of Armor Titans as well.
Yeah.
Do you want one? You do?
So there are many.
I don't know if you can have one. The
Sure.
cinnamon scrolls.
I shouldn't.
Shouldn't it?
No.
Do you like our cinnamon scroll?
Sure. Thank you.
I will put them out of sight so you can't be thinking.
So that the
Sugar and
majority,
carbohydrate.
so that all the races that are
They
on
are.
the planet are descended of the Titans.
Yeah.
Which is interesting when they're eating each other.
Yes.
And the implication, while the storyline doesn't necessarily show it, because it's not showing temporal factor very well at all, it's implied that these are happening at very different time spans from our perception of time. Or it can appear that these are all happening effectively in the same era.
You believe it's all happening in the same era,
Yeah.
Okay?
which is pre-time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So pre-time, which kind of, yeah, Hagrix kind of understands, but kind of also doesn't
Yeah.
understand.
And it's basically that while Ka is not the birth of language, it's pretty much the birth of teaching people language.
Yeah.
So who was the birth of language?
Doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
Because Ka had a language, didn't say where he got it from.
Yeah. Probably Io, if the primordials didn't have language.
Yeah, I was going to say, the primordials don't sound like they have
Yeah.
language, so...
Yeah. However, the elemental lords are
Maybe.
in the same origin era
Mm.
as Io and Ka.
The elemental lords predate them.
That's right.
Okay. So that it's possible at least some of it came from them. where they get it from.
But it's
Because the elemental lords had a bizarre around at the time of the primordial, like the synths that gave birth to
Yeah, I know.
Io and Kara.
so it has
But
him.
where did they get language from?
So it's having him talk to them
Yeah.
in Draconic.
yeah,
Also has them talking to them in Sylvan.
Mm.
yeah,
So that
and-
makes sense.
yeah. But that
With
means
the
they already had an established language before IO.
That's because they're different.
So-
Yeah.
And it talks about the elemental rulers infusing themselves in the world,
Infusing themselves how?
introducing elemental aspects into people,
Okay.
Yeah.
and sending their people to this world,
Okay.
the Genasi.
Yeah.
But the Genasi can't exist as a people.
Okay.
It's implying that Genasi arrived in pre-time.
It does, but they don't have a people. They infuse
No.
with the people, with those that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why the Genasi are called elemental infused. But
Well,
from the sound of it, from the sound of it, they are elemental spirits infused into mortals. They're not just mortals with some elemental aspects of them.
Which I
To-
believe
to an
is
extent, they're double
very
souled.
different from what the world believes.
Very different
like the
towards the
Genasi.
Oh yeah.
What the Genasi actually are.
So the
Because they only pop up in like 1 in every 100 people or so. Yeah.
So what do the world believe Genasi are?
they believe that they're just a byproduct of offspring. Occasionally,
Yeah.
a Genasi is born.
It's just hi.
They're occasionally genetic
Hold on,
right.
could I finish? They're hi. Here's a human. Everyone's got an elemental aspect. This one has a lot more of it.
Okay.
That's what people think they are. What we're learning is no, they're actually an elemental spirit and a mortal. Which, at least they were to start with.
But the
It's really interesting.
Genasi do not breed true.
Yeah. Yeah, and that does actually back up the fact that they are two entities to start with.
And that they started being able to create elemental aspects from what you see as the nether that you've learnt about in
Yeah.
Hollow World.
Yeah.
And it was from the nether that they appeared to hold the elements.
Right.
What's the Hollow World character wants to know?
The Hollow World, from the player's perspective, is the preserve that Ka created.
I see.
To preserve
For
all
The infernal world.
So, are you trying to tell me that the Hollow World is a zoo?
Yes.
Yep,
particularly
literally.
the inside of it's a zoo.
Yeah.
It is because they are explicitly preserved, culturally preserved,
As they are, yeah.
as they were when they were put
They
in
are
place.
culture locked.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So any other culture that tries to invade this doesn't work.
Yeah.
This also implies then that the children of Io that R is trying to teach were not naturally elementally infused
That is correct.
from the original primordials.
Yeah.
Okay.
From what you can see, that they didn't seem to actually have much of a connection to the elements.
Okay.
Only by bringing in the elemental rulers did they seem to develop a deep connection
Yep.
and awaken the elements within. Which is where the Genasi started to start coming in.
Yeah.
And that's why the Genasi have been around for centuries, even though people say that the Alphatians were the first Genasi to come here.
Yeah. Except they're not.
But does that then also imply that the fact there were 6 primordials is actually coincidental?
It does have that each elemental and a primordial are linked.
Yeah.
Okay, the primordials did have an elemental link, but they didn't necessarily instill it into their
No.
creations. Okay, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
They had predisposition, but
Yeah.
it was more of what sort of creature they would create.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
the
happy with
Tiger
that.
one will create more ocean-like creatures, and each of them had their own sort of. Like the Sun one would create more alien-like creatures.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
And have some air powers or whatever. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the origin of the elemental lords. It's starting to look like they were an intelligence that hooked themselves up to the primordial
And what the
and became the elemental lords from that.
and what Car's belief
So the
is
opposite of
here
Genasi.
is that the primal the primal titans are children of the elemental lords.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
Though they do not know.
I'm presuming no one's asked any of the elemental lords and got a useful answer. Because that's the only way you'd find out.
I guess we could answer.
We could.
Wow.
Because they are
Again.
intelligent beings that have been around, but it's believed that it's a connection
But-
between the Fey Dark and the Fey Wild and an elemental lord that created them.
Well, part of the problem is that all of the elemental lords have a very long history of being basically capricious yahoos, or at least capricious beings, and willing to tell you whatever they want to at the time that you're talking to them.
Oh, well,
So you,
that's sad news.
And the
it's
other problem
difficult
is
to
that
trust them.
any speculation on the elemental lords, that's what we've got now, is just that pure speculation. Because the stones are not walking about. There's a little bit of time after the elemental lords have been in existence forever
Yeah,
and have decided to start influencing this particular plane.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all speculation.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of speculation here, which is not necessarily bad. It's kind of what we do. But I guess in terms of collating all of this information, Calcrix is just kind of got writer's cramp by this point.
Yeah.
Because we are trying to information gather in order to figure out how to solve this problem of maybe not even the master anymore.
Yeah.
The question is there a problem to be solved now?
Well, we still have to stop
You know,
the master.
Dracula.
I mean, there is, but it's just
Yeah.
like this is a lot bigger. Like we're learning more than the master knows, so that we can finally get ahead.
Head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of Calcrix kind of understands that, but from what she's hearing, the primal titans being awakened, particularly from Dracnima's perspective, is not necessarily a bad thing.
Not in solving our problem.
Yeah.
Yes, in the state of the world,
Yes.
that's a problem.
But if we learn
But it
enough
solves our
from-
problem.
But if we learn enough from this,
Yeah.
for us to be able to put the primordials back to sleep
Mm.
after we've dealt with the master,
Yeah, we got to deal with the master first.
Exactly.
but the primordials still have to be put to sleep. And I think what
Yeah.
we're doing now
Mm.
is going to be what we're going to need to be able to do that.
In order
s-
to put them in
So
sleep.
what Car's story says is he believes that 5 of the primordial titans are children of the elemental ruler,
Yeah.
and one of the Fey Queen, the Fey Wild Queen.
So 5
Okay.
of the
Primordials.
titans are the children of who?
The elementals, the elemental rulers.
Well, one elemental and the Queen of Darkness.
Oh,
Which is why
no,
they
No,
don't
Queen
want
of
to.
Fey Wild,
The
not
Fey
Darkness.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, same thing, effectively, isn't it?
No.
no.
No,
No.
Queen of Darkness
is
is
the Fey
Fey
Dark.
Dark.
Yeah.
Queen of the
Oh,
Fey
okay.
Wild
Oh,
is...
yes, Fey Wild. Yep, happy with
Only
that.
the Fame Wild is the one that became Terror.
Yeah, no, happy with that. But yeah, so yeah, 5 of them were an elemental and terror.
And it does
And
not know
that's
who
it.
what's born to the last one because he does not resemble the others.
Yeah.
It believes it came from the Fey Dark.
Sorry, I'm still writing the last bit.
Yeah.
So what was the next bit? The last one is...
The sixth one, it believes, came from the Fey Dark.
I think we need to find out what that thing is.
Because it is not like the others, is what it says.
No, it's
It
not.
has no element.
Yeah.
It's speculating without necessarily confirming. Now, obviously, it's speculations. They're probably a lot better than our speculations, but
Yeah. Well, we need to keep going through these rings.
Yeah.
And it does say
It's the only way we'll get anywhere.
it seems to be similar to Io, who has no element.
Yeah. Yes, that was the thing I was just thinking about.
So it might be that Io's involved in some way.
well, no, but Io is a child of these these.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah, that's... Yeah,
No,
sorry.
that's the thing.
It's a lot of stuff for me to try and keep track
yeah.
of.
Io could be a child of that one
Exactly.
B, rather than being all of them.
Exactly.
Or it could be
Yeah.
all 5
Plus the one.
engendered the 6th and Io.
But the other thing is that
Or all of the 5.
when we have the stories, the fact that it was Io that managed to, or the power of Io that managed to put the Titans to sleep,
Yeah, the thing is at this point,
that might have been, there might have been a bit of a mistranslation there, in the sense that Io had some power over the 5 elemental types, and the 6th one decided to go on, or decided to have a nap. Or
Or it's just-
go.
or
Like
it's
it
just-
may be that Io had no power over it forever.
or is just not active. It just it's just sitting somewhere being immortal.
Yeah.
The big thing is we need more info. We really do.
Absolutely.
So
Let's go touch my rocks.
yeah,
And it does talk about how that the children of Io don't seem to have an elemental connection.
that's
Yeah,
an
because I remember you
interesting
telling that about
Yeah.
Bahamut and
Dekesis.
Tahis, that they don't necessarily have an elemental
Um,
connection.
presumably, Pa developed a few descendants as well.
Wants to know
Yes.
if she's like an aerologist and all that, even though she's aligned herself with air, if she's a child or a grandchild of Io, does she technically have no elemental connection, and how does she find that out?
Depends
Well-
on the parent.
Her parents are.
And she asked
Bahamut
Drazzle
and
that because
Tahis
Drazzle's
have
her
no
sibling.
Yeah, but that's the thing. If just because granddad's got no element doesn't mean the parents do.
Drazzle says that stories of Dekesis says she manifests all elements.
Okay.
So she's got all 5 and he's got none.
And what about Bahamut?
There are no stories.
And the other thing,
Yeah.
Calcus has got to remember is just because she's sibling with Drexel and granddaughter of Io, grandchild of Io, does not mean, like, she was actually
Yeah.
born many millennia after this,
Yeah.
which means that she came at a time when everything in the world would get an elemental focus, elemental aspect
Yeah.
as part of birth. So
Of
the
which,
fact that despite having direct lineage to Io and therefore potentially Io spawn being non-elemental,
Just to put it on the record, I was kind of joking.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think just because I'm the granddaughter of Io, I too have no elemental connection.
Yeah.
I was
So-
being like,
It's
From
certainly a potential, but yeah, I think that's purely a factor of time in that one.
So from Car's speculation, he does not understand how the children of Io are not connected to the elemental rulers.
sorry, say
Yeah.
that from whose?
The children of Io are not connected to the elemental rulers.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because the children of, well, there are children of Io who were dragons, some of whom became elves. When they became elves, they got either they or their parents had elemental aspect at that point.
yeah.
Because as far as
Yeah.
I know, all elves have elemental aspect.
Yep.
Well, as far as we know, since the beginning of time, everything has had an elemental aspect.
I know, except
This
people
is-
We're talking quick time at the moment,
Well, that's
which
because
is when the elemental aspect got introduced.
Yeah, but I don't know.
in the-
We don't know how far back the split between elves and dragons go, because it's not in known time as far as I know.
I would expect that it would have been if it was information you knew about yet. If you have known about it already prior to getting this information, to me it sounds like there was a history of it somewhere, and therefore it was after free time.
Man, all this stuff is just making my head go.
Yeah,
Well, it
so,
should.
yeah.
It should.
The,
The
in the images where Carl is trying to teach language to the various creatures of the world, including the children of Io, and presumably to Carl's own descendants, which presumably all have an elemental aspect, is there any indication as to whether or not there was greater or lesser difficulty passing on knowledge to those with or without elementals?
It does not say that there's any difference with the elemental aspects or not. But as people started getting more elemental aspects, the more the easier they did seem to get to teach over time. But that's also a possibility that intelligence increased over time.
Or that intelligence was dependent, or somewhat dependent on elemental aspect,
I don't
or
think
improved
that's,
by elemental, not dependent upon, but potentially enhanced by.
That's a potential.
well, yeah. If your elemental aspect does give you a stat bonus,
Yeah.
but just intelligence isn't always the best thing to go for. You know, being
No, but I'm just thinking that's like that would
useful.
Well, that's a
that-
game mechanic versus
Potentially-
game.
But
This is number 3
some
in terms of
elemental aspects
That was the
give
third
certain
story
people
being the
a
second
bit of
story
a
of
bonus
Cal.
over other people.
Yep.
It does come up.
So, with the dawn of a new day,
Yes.
You head off to find the next shrine of Io.
Yes.
Reaching that one with no difficulties on that day,
Yep.
having been able to fly over the river.
Yay for flying.
This one looks more like a dragon's paw than a jaw.
Cool.
And in the very center of it is the writing seems to be carved into the hand itself,
Okay.
big enough to walk in.
That's a good sized hand.
So, of course, Calcrix is going to walk in it.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, given the size of the jaw and the size of the handprint, are we about the appropriate distance from the mouth to where the foot would be for the psychic dragon?
Quite possibly.
Okay, that's scary.
Yes.
Calcrix is not scared at all because she expected that if there's going to be a great, grandfather of all dragons, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And this tells the tale of how Io was surprised that one of his kids was able to steal elemental energy from the primal titans.
Ooh, which kid was this?
Quite easy to tell to pieces.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there any indication as to when this happened compared to the stories about the elementals coming in and providing their access into the free zone?
Well,
Or is it temporarily hard to be determined?
what it does say is that because of Takisa stealing power from the Titans got angry
Yes.
and set about destroying
Everything.
Io's children.
Ah. Right.
But they recognised that hard descendants were not involved?
Io doesn't talk at all about Khar's children.
Right. But you talk about, so whether or not the primordials were going for park children was not defined.
It was not defined at all.
Okay.
But it does talk of how Io reached out to the Queen of the Feywild to find help to stop the primordials. And received no assistance.
Yeah.
When she went to the Queen of the Fader. Maybe next no.
Which implies, well, that sort of implies that the elemental lords looked at what the primordials are doing and went, no, look, I think it's a fair cop. They've got a perfectly good reason to do what they're doing. We'll let them. Okay. It's your kid did that. You do something about the kid.
Well, and
Get it to give
there's
them
also any indication that the elemental lords are even involved in the world at this time?
It doesn't have him.
They were directly involved. Yep.
Doesn't have Io talking about the elemental lords.
So we don't know.
But he does
Yeah.
talk about how the Mother of the Titans does not wish to assist.
Yeah.
Doesn't talk about the
And that's talking terror, isn't it?
That is, yes.
Fey Dark though.
But the Feywild is.
Yeah. Doesn't mention the Fey Dark
Does
though,
not.
whether or not that she helps.
And it does mention how the it led to issues amongst the descendants of Io, creating a rift between Bahamut and Takesis. Right. Where one seeks power and one seeks.
Did it say why Takisa stole it? Is it because she was simply seeking power?
Takesis was seeking more power, wanting to become a god. Yeah.
So she's no different from a lot of other people who wanted to become a god.
Yes. And so she stole godhood.
Of course.
And it does seem that Io is quite proud. Did not know it was possible.
Okay.
So, from his perspective, she's the first mortal to become an immortal.
Because he didn't know about Ka.
Ka had not become a god at this point.
Ah. Scary. Okay.
Yes.
I have more questions.
This is the time to ask them.
No, because I don't know how to put it into words.
Yeah,
Draw a
I'm kind of
picture.
in the same position.
Because, okay, so from Io's perspective, Takesis is the first mortal to become immortal. But to become immortal, there has to be a sponsor?
We don't know.
This
enough.
is why
Well,
I'm
she-
confused!
No, this
Well,
is
technically,
why I was-
there has to be a sponsor now, but back
Yeah.
then she stole
She
godhood.
stole
Yeah.
godhood.
So
Yes.
she didn't necessarily need a sponsor if she
She's
stole
the
it.
Potentially.
She's the first warlock. So,
So Lula's just like,
Unlike-
wow, maybe
Yeah.
I'm like Takesis
but
more
this,
and more.
this is what I was saying before.
Unlike that dimmer,
This is what I was saying before about sponsorship, whether it's a social thing amongst the hierarchy of gods,
Uh-huh.
or it's actually required. Given that there are gods that we know about that do not have a sponsor,
That have become,
it's not inherently required. It probably just makes it cheap, makes it easier.
Makes it
And the
easier.
story
Because-
ends with
Yeah.
him teaching Bahamut how to gain it himself.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So we're
Yeah.
how I guess Bahamut.
And Bahamut became a god by giving all the races elemental infusion.
Ah. Okay.
While the Janazi were coming here and trying, he's the one that made it succeed.
Yeah. because he gave them elemental aspects rather than putting two beings together, which is a bit of a clunky way of doing it. So what he did ended up with the aspects largely breeding true, rather than mostly not breeding true.
So he infused mortals with elemental?
Yeah, he gave mortals an elemental aspect.
Yeah, rather than getting elemental aspects and giving them mortal bodies, which is sort of what the other thing does.
That is interesting.
Oh.
And it does say that this is what attracted the Genasi to the world.
Yeah.
So, conflicting stories.
Yes. Yes. Well,
True.
weird shit happens.
Which gives you probably a time frame of where the others were occurring.
Yes. It's all in my notes.
This is an interesting thing that these conflicting stories are put upon a similar path.
Well, if you look at every creationist in nearly every religion that goes back far enough, they talk about similar stories from a different perspective.
Exactly. This is interesting.
And then read it entirely differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Different context, different.
When you reach the next story of Ka,
Hmm.
it talks about how the primordials were laying waste to the world.
Yeah.
The primal titans. And Ka witnesses one of the children of Io becoming a god.
Ooh. Which one?
Witnesses Bahamut.
Witness me. Okay.
And is there anything significant about how he witnesses this?
Witnesses that it's possible.
Okay. So that gives him the idea that he could become a god.
Which leads to the first stone talking about him becoming a god as he approaches all the rulers of the elements in the Fae.
Right.
So he sees Bahamut and then he approaches all of the
rulers of the different elemental realms and the Fae realms.
And suggests, hey look, if you do this.
And
Or at least something like that.
and he's sponsored by Terra.
Ah. That gets a bit interesting.
With his task being that of preserving culture.
Yeah.
Each of the gods has each of the immortals, he determines, has a task that they must complete.
each of the immortals has a task they must complete.
Some he theorizes that Io completed its task by being born.
That sounds reasonable.
Lucky.
I was born, I am a gift to the world.
What, just be born like it's hard?
Yeah.
Just get poofed into existence. There you
Though
go.
it does note that it thinks Io should have been born with more brains.
So Io's
Not as smart as Carl.
okay, so but he says Io's task was just being born.
Yes.
Sounds like somebody has
Sounds like a bit
middle
of
child
sibling
syndrome.
driving.
Okay. So Car's developed over time. Io has not.
Yeah. Perfect golden child, Io.
Well, there is one of the things with what Car's doing one of the best ways to learn and therefore become more intelligent is to teach.
Yeah.
And if he taught entire cultures,
Yep. He would learn more
he would
himself.
have developed himself.
Whereas Io's just existing.
He's just
Well,
Being
he
the dragon.
taught Bahamut how to become a god, so he's done stuff. But as far as Kar's concerned,
yeah,
you know,
but Karl's just
But you
ridiculously
think
brilliant.
Bahamut was the first time Io taught anything?
Yeah. Yeah. There is also the thing that Karl's
some people are late developers.
but Karl's an overachiever.
I feel like there's
There's a little bit of sibling rivalry going on.
And,
there's a lot
Yeah.
of sibling rivalry going on.
and you believe that the connections to the Isle of Dread are all because of Ka.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
That's what Ka made his first artifact, as it were.
Kar takes
Yeah.
an awful lot of credit for awful lot
What
of things,
I'm
but is it
getting-
actually true?
Well, he did do a lot of things.
No, I think the answer is yes and no.
Yes.
And it sounds like they need some family therapy,
Yeah.
is what
Well,
I'm getting.
Yes. On the other hand, Ka did set things up for the present pantheons of gods
Yeah, that's what I
to
mean.
do their thing.
Ka's not wrong. Io's not wrong either.
But they're also differently right.
Yes.
It's hard to tell at this stage.
Yes.
Family
This is
therapy.
written by Victor.
Well, they what's the thing? Both of these beings have created these rings with stories in them, and they're not all entirely consistent with each other. So they're obviously, this is doing rivalry in bloody fanfics. Well, not fanfics, in diary entries. This is God diaries. This is
Can you imagine being a god family therapist? You
yes.
can't just blow up the earth because your sibling
so-
made you mad.
There's this show called Lucifer.
Yes, I
Oh,
love
That
okay.
it.
exactly
Have you
does.
seen Lucifer?
Yes, I know. I love Lucifer.
yeah.
That's the whole thing that I was thinking in my mind. Which, I mean, if I could
Yeah.
think about Lucifer, I'm just like, that's nice.
Okay, so you make it to the second claw of Io,
Right.
and this one tells the tale of fighting the Black Morians.
Oh. Blackmore's that early.
And that they are students of Ka who found a relic of another world
Yes.
at another time.
Yes. And decided to entirely overdo it.
And wiped out all his children.
So there's students of Kar who found his artifacts.
Who found a crashed starship,
Ah,
which is
found,
the one that
yeah.
Redrian sent you to find information about.
And get
Is
all
that
his-
Redrian's
That was
crashed star?
Redrian's
Yes.
crashed starship.
And he wants all his bits back.
And all the
That's still a
children of Takesis and Bahamut were wiped out by them.
Right.
Not a single one survived.
Wow.
And Io then
Why
fought
disjunction
them.
in the dragon populations.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that they took out the both his children.
Yeah.
They destroyed Takesis and him, Takesis and Bahamut.
Yeah.
The final time that they came together.
Yeah.
Which, considering all the histories you've learned, is actually after Io had sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
So if it's after Io had sacrificed himself, how did Io fight the Black
Just because
Warriors?
the stories say that he sacrificed himself at that point doesn't mean that he did.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't talk
Remember,
about it.
who's writing the story?
Look, I'm just starting to get confused, but yeah.
I think it's the story that's confusing. Because they're written by different people or by the same person at different times.
Yes. Oh, both of these are true.
They need to make up their minds.
And
But also to talk about all the stories about Io's sacrifice. They all came from other races.
And it does.
And what exactly was Io's sacrifice?
It doesn't talk about it. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
No,
So
but
this all
do we
supposedly
know about Io's sacrifice?
You believe that Io sacrificed himself to stop the Primal Titans.
Okay, yeah, so that was when
The
they originally
previous
went to
story.
sleep.
And it does talk here about how one of the 5 children of Takesis and Bahamut, when they were together, because they gave their own lines of children,
Yeah.
gave birth to the 3-headed dragon you know as the Great One.
Right.
And the 3-headed dragon gave offspring from one of the Fae that produced the current line of dragons
Right.
and elves.
Sorry, say that again. The Blackmorians wiped out all of Takesis and Bahamut's children, but one of their children...
They had 5 eggs that had not been hatched.
Okay.
Right. So they got all wiped out, and then
There were only
one more
5.
hatch.
There were only 5 eggs that both of them had created,
Yeah.
Hatched.
and they had been taken by Io.
Right.
The only dragons that they had as descendants were from themselves or the other creatures
Yeah.
Okay, and so one of these eggs was a 3-headed dragon,
that you
which
know as
we
the
know
Great
as
One.
the Great One. Because I'm just trying to keep it straight now.
And it is the Great One is the parent of the elves and the current dragon races. It is the Great One was the last dragon to be born without an element.
Right.
So that's where elves came in. That's where elves fit into this whole
Yeah.
crazy family.
Because the elves
Timeline.
are Sylvan as well as
Yeah.
the Seven. Because
Yeah.
that they took the Sylvan part of
From
the
the
heritage.
Fae, yeah.
Yes.
Choices.
Not that the elves remember that.
Hee hee.
They will be reminded of it because they'll get told. Whether they believe me or not is an entirely different thing. But at this point, they're going to get various
It's a little bit left in.
various things will be presented.
Though the way the story says that happened long before the Blackmorians wiped out the dragons.
Yeah.
Because time.
Yes.
Calcrix looks at Drazzle and just like gives him one of these kind of looks. And it's like, damn it, this time stuff.
But the birth was before the Blackmorians, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen until after the Blackmorians.
Yeah.
Yes, because duration at the time was a bit flexible.
I was gonna say
No,
because
he
eggs-
basically sent them back in time.
Was Dressel involved with that?
No idea.
But as far as
although
I
Drazzle did say this stuff was before him.
as far as I
Yes.
remember, we learnt
So-
in the air temple that of those 5
So it's
eggs,
us.
one was Drazzle and one was Calcrix. Though.
Yes. So we
but
know
remember-
3 of the 5 eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say.
Is
But
it-
remember, your statement about the fact that Drazzle said this for him,
Yeah.
that applied in a couple of the previous movies. Doesn't necessarily apply to this one. The Blackmorians may well have come after pre-time.
Also take into account, given what we've done a couple of times, there's half a chance we did it.
No, I started time.
You got to remember that it's hard to keep track of the temple connection between
I was gonna say,
the different
you're-
stories here.
I know.
If the Blackmorians were here, then that's definitely after pre-time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are the ones before time because I was the one that started
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
And so Io was the director of the elves to abandon technology.
Yeah.
He put in the directive into their great leader.
Yes. What these fuckers are doing, don't do that shit.
Exactly.
Considering they wiped out the dragons before, he wants to make sure that the
Yep.
preceding races do not.
You're not allowed to play outside.
Though that person he directed to was not born until around the time of the death of the dragons.
Yeah.
Brothers.
So Ilfindor was a mortal during the time of
Yes.
Blackmore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like you put this up as a ruse.
absolutely.
Mm.
Man, this just has me curious about who the two other eggs are.
Yeah, well, that's
Yes.
what I was just about to ask.
That's not
Because this is telling the story about and it mentions the 5 eggs.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that in terms of 5 eggs, we're probably looking at 5 elements.
Well, you're
Or
probably looking at 5 dragons.
just 5 straight dragons.
because
Right.
well,
Is there any clue as to who or what the other 2 eggs look like?
There are no. It doesn't even give a clue as to your egg or Drazzle's egg.
All right, worth asking. Gonna ask this every single time we visit one
we
of
come
IO's
across
things. So, what about those 2 eggs?
I
Any
know.
mention?
I was gonna say okay, so
So we
that's
need-
everything on that story bio.
Right.
I know what we need.
Mm.
A TARDIS.
I know.
Who says you don't have one?
That's a good
Okay, we've got one.
Cart.
Yeah.
Don't we have the cart?
Yes.
Isn't the cart a TARDIS, essentially?
Essentially.
You open up the back and it's a portal?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, you find yourself at
We
the
need to cut
fourth
TARDIS
circle
region
of
block.
Car.
Okay, so 4th circle of car. Jeez, how do you keep all of these circles straight?
He hasn't written down.
Well, circles are usually round.
Can I just print out whatever you're reading from and
Sure.
just take less notes?
Yeah, please don't throw things at me.
Yeah, no. What are you reading there? Is that like code or?
No, code's on one side, but that's got nothing to do with what's actually happening. So yes, you reach this one, and it goes into detail about how so many cultures have been lost
Yeah.
and destroyed by the primordials,
Mm.
the primal titans.
So
Yeah.
this is Car talking about how the primal titans have destroyed so many
Yes.
cultures.
And that after talking with his sponsor, his final task was to put the primal titans to sleep.
Yeah.
And with the help of
So
the Queen
he-
of Darkness,
He put the titans to sleep, apparently.
he bound
According to his story.
Yeah.
he bound the immortal Io
Mm.
to keep them asleep.
Oh.
Which also then explains exactly how what he knew what to do to wake them up again.
Yeah.
So, Terra technically gives him the task of putting
Not
them
Terra, Nick,
No.
the Queen of Darkness.
Yeah.
No, he after
Awesome.
discussions with Terra,
Yeah.
his final task
After the
is
discussion with his sponsor.
Yeah, which is Terra, yes.
Yeah.
his final task is to put the primal titans to sleep, which he does from getting the help of the Queen of Darkness. And what was the next bit after that?
He used the essence of Io.
Okay.
He used Io as a material component. Now, of course, they're awake. We can wake.
You know,
Io
in
up
story
without
writing, we
breaking
call
them.
this info dumping.
Yeah.
And in story writing, this is bad.
Yeah, but the thing is, the alternative is he writes all of this stuff out and gives it to us to read between sessions, and then we forget all of it after reading it.
Well, there's not a good chance I'm going to remember it all from just shoving it all into one session as well.
Yeah, that's why. writing
But,
it
you
down.
know,
Yeah.
The other factor, of course, or the other aspect of that story, it correlates then with the idea of Io's sacrifice
Yeah.
to contain the primordials. Maybe it wasn't self-sacrifice by the sound of it, right?
Yeah.
And it notes that Io's presence can't affect things outside of the island since that
Ah.
point.
Yeah, fair enough.
So Io
Actually
may
makes
or
some
may
sense.
not have been a willing participant.
You don't believe he was willing.
Yeah. I was fairly pissed off with Io at this point. So
I was
just
gonna say, they weren't getting
you.
along. Really. Okay.
Okay, so the
When you reach what appears to be some sort of tail
Mm-hmm.
of the doesn't seem to be it doesn't have like the claw mark
Okay.
symbol like that, just seems to be like a tail. It has the writings on it saying that Io has watched over this island and its inhabitants. And influences the world through.
So is this the fourth or the fifth circle? Of
this is the fourth circle
fourth
of
circle.
Yeah.
So if this is the tail and we're seeing two paws and a jaw, where are the other two paws?
Good chance Io never had more than two.
Oh, okay. So like a
With
Wyvern.
What most people see as a wyvern now.
wyvern, yeah.
With the whole thing of none of their descendants of Io look
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
So
Or
it basically
possibly-
speaks about them
Yeah.
watching over the island.
Yeah.
So
Or some of the
Of course.
depictions of dragons as a long snake with
yeah,
two
yeah,
legs and rather than wyvern, which is sort of a dragony sort of thing,
Yeah.
a long snake with wings and two legs.
Yeah.
Of course, it does put someone to question the dragon's arrogance over the wyverns now.
Well,
So that's all we get from the last one.
It is a very short one because
I was gonna say, yeah, it seemed very short and simple. Of like, Io watches over the island and its inhabitants.
it's almost like it's written by someone else.
Instead of like the other ones.
yeah.
Well, because let's face it, Io's locked up now.
Yeah, he doesn't have a voice. Can't exactly tell the story.
So Kai didn't want to go too much into detail.
But you do feel as if from here you can almost feel the rest of the island.
What do you mean when you say that?
This almost feels like a point in the mountains that allows you to see everywhere else.
Right.
Where the focus of Io is.
Okay.
And in terms of, do we get a perception as to whether or not Io is as bad as Carr seems to think they are, or
Well, you
It's
don't
too
think
hard to
Io
tell.
was bad, just that
No.
the only option Carr was given
Mm.
was to use Io to stop its parents.
Yeah. And somehow persuaded Io to either go along with it or captured him and forced him.
Well, that's getting to where I need a filling.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
Well, they've decided in their great wisdom that I don't get to see a dentist until next year. So,
Oh,
yeah.
great stuff.
Despite my letter telling them that I
Yeah.
need them looked
Yeah.
at every 6 months.
Yeah.
So, I guess from there, does it feel like if we try to focus in a specific spot, we can feel or sense that part of the island?
Well, what sort of spot does Lani try to focus on?
I try to focus on the center.
Okay, as you focus on the center, you can see a plateau completely surrounded by smooth stone. So it's so smooth that you don't think even a lizard could grab onto it.
Cool.
With a single rope bridge going across the mountains to it.
Definitely don't trust
That
that.
looks-
Cool.
And the rope bridge is probably about half a mile in length.
100% don't trust that. Cool.
And we can see it from here, which means it's actually pretty big.
Well,
Well,
she's
no,
not,
it's-
she's
I'm
not looking at it
focusing.
directly.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Um,
inside of that is is the actual center of the island, and it is where the river that you're on partly initiates,
Okay.
So it looks promising.
and it is over 18 mile in diameter.
Pretty
Sorry,
impressive.
so it's 18. It's up the river that we were.
And it's a plateau high above the surrounding areas, with the mountains all around it, creating a almost like bowl, even though it's not regular.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the only low point heading into the bowl being the
The
valley
bridge.
you're going up,
Yeah.
which is not where the bridge is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Where's
So the bridge is coming from the mountains to the south of the plateau.
Okay. So I guess with that, basically like doing a backwards maze, I'm trying to get it to where.
If you could fly, you don't need the bridge.
Exactly. I'm
I was
planning.
going to
on
say, but the idea being that so you said the sides of the plateau were particularly sheer,
Yep.
they couldn't be climbable. So the bridge was actually effectively not just a bridge across the river, but it was a bridge from a mountaintop high enough to then go across to the plateau. Is that right?
That is correct.
Yep.
Right, yeah, okay. So yeah, so it was across the river, but the river is not actually crossing the river, because the river was several hundred feet below.
The lowest point of the bridge is probably about 150 feet above the valley below.
Yep.
But it,
Okay.
it sags a lot.
Yeah.
Of course it does. We can fly.
Yeah. So I guess I will try to refocus myself slowly back to kind of make sure what is along the way, in a sense, from where we are to where that is.
Finding landmarks.
Well, I'm just kind of like trying to go from the center to us and seeing if there's
Figure
other,
out how to
other
get there.
things along the way, as like in a
Like
line
other
to
strong
where
Okay,
we
so
are.
as you try to focus on other things, you get lots of pictures of large birds without feathers
Yeah.
by the thousands.
Yep.
As in, everywhere except for where the bridge is their territory.
So flying may not be an
Flying
option.
is
Flying is not the
out.
best option.
Yeah.
And we were warned that from the
We were.
requester.
Actually, we were. Yeah, I remember that.
Your bridge seems to
Um,
go, Jeremy.
I was going to say, Jack Dimmock's actually going to try and do this focusing thing, works type stuff, to focus back on the pathway near the tar pit and just confirm, see if there's any evidence that those guide folk that we rescued around the tar pit, when they got back to the village okay, but it was in timing like they should have got there to go through. Then secondarily, look around for the locations that the chat folk were looking for.
Okay.
The shrines. Not the shrines, the portals.
I can't remember exactly what the item was off the top of my head, but I remember I was
Yeah,
saying I was looking
there were
for
like
specific objects.
six portals that they needed
Yeah.
to open 5 to access the 6 or something.
Okay, so as you have a look, you see a circle of 8 massive standing stones surrounding a ninth with runes covering it from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And they look to be volcanic in nature.
Ooh.
Do I get a sense of where that ring is located?
You do not. You just see the stones clearly. And
Okay.
you have a feeling of an entity's now looking at you.
Aha.
So it's 8 stones
Jack
surrounding the
Dimmock's
knife.
been dealing with that all his life.
Yes.
This one does not feel like
The entity can look a lot closer.
this one does not feel
Sorry?
like any of the nice ones you've spoken to before. This one, you get a feeling of menace.
Mm.
No language whatsoever.
Oh.
Ooh.
And the runes on the stones do resemble that of what Carl was teaching people.
Right. Yeah.
Do
Well, he
we
was the
remember
first teacher.
what the Rakasta were looking for this so that they could find their way home?
So they could find a relic from home. Relic that was hidden here because it was too dangerous.
Well, if the only thing they do with it is leave the planet and don't do any damage doing so, then that's fine. But
Oh
yeah.
no, I'm completely with the Rakasta. I'm prepared to get on that ship and leave too. I'm joking.
Meaning, you believe that that's also the same language that the Rakasta use.
Yeah.
So Car used it to teach language to people.
It looks like the same language Carl was teaching to people.
Yeah. Hmm.
Not pictographs.
No. Might be another language for me to pick up. I don't know how useful it would be.
Okay, so what else did you try to look at, Jeremy?
Well, okay. He was expecting. He got the impression from the cat folks that the 8 portals were actually spread throughout the island, but apparently they're all in the couple of one place. Is that right?
No, you don't seem to be able to focus on any other ones, but if they are, they all look identical, so you don't see the surroundings.
Okay.
But you can see the portals, as you believe them to be.
Is the view apparently at ground level? Like as if I'm looking at something from ground, or
Slightly angled.
can it look like I can adjust the apparent image or the position of the image?
It does not allow you to
higher?
adjust it.
No, okay. In which case then, that's probably enough to attract him. I'm thinking, okay, I might have stepped on someone's toes who I wasn't supposed to that time.
I'll give you a insight roll.
14 on the die, so that gets me 23.
23. You believe you've just gotten the attention of one of the primordials.
Oh.
You think the monolith is connected to it.
Why do you do that?
Okay. Well, to be fair, considering I helped release them, having their attention is probably not unexpected.
Well, yeah, there's that.
Well, it's like getting the attention of a mountain lion. Are you sure you want that?
Well, I'm not
Depends. Do you think it's a kitty you can play with, or do you realise it's one you want to run from?
So, well, I mean, it's probably more the idea of if it was the sun one that's been flitting around the sky occasionally over the last few days,
It
looking
won't
for
be.
something, maybe it's found it.
Yes.
So, I'm betting it's not death. I'm betting it's not dawn. I'm betting it's either death or calamity. Could be hunger though.
Hunger makes sense.
Storm and tide. I think tide's going to be near the oceans. Dawn we know is flittering around,
Yeah.
looking at stuff. So that gives you 4 others to choose from, and none of them sound good. So you're looking at a monolith.
I'm gonna call Calamity Jane.
Yeah, I'm going to go with.
I'm gonna call it Jane from now on.
I did watch that movie a lot.
Did you?
Yeah, so yeah, considering it's probably not dawn or tide, your other options are storm, death, hunger, and calamity.
Somehow I kind of hope it's Storm.
Well, it's 8 rocks in a circle with one in the middle, and it forms a portal.
Yeah.
Hunger makes sense.
I don't suppose there's any image that can be seen through the portal.
You don't see anything through the portal. You just believe that this is one of the anchors of the portal.
Right.
Right.
And you do know that there are 5 other portals on this island, separate to the cat's ones.
Ah,
Yeah.
I think we need them.
One to each of the
There's
elements.
so many portals and shrines on this place.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Well, there was a reason it was the birthplace of the Titans.
Yes.
This is the one place in the world where all of the elements combine,
We're connected.
Yes.
including the Fey Dark and the Fey Wild.
Yes.
So this is one of the anchors of the portals of
The Rakasta.
the Rakasta.
So, like, this area really is like a center node of the universe in a way.
And it seems that the Rakasta were drawing upon the Primal Titans to hide their stuff.
Yeah. But now they're awake.
And that's a problem.
At least for Rasta.
For most people, it's a problem.
Well, that's
For
true.
us, it's fine.
Sure,
now.
fine,
Yes.
fine.
Until we need to fix that part.
Yes. But we know it can be done. Especially if we get to use the remains of the Master to do it, so we don't have to use IO.
Especially since from
Okay,
the information we're gathering, this is Io's on the ground.
Jeremy, you can do a wisdom saving throw.
Well, we can re-embody his essence.
I think I'll be okay. Well, whether pass is good is a different question, but
Yes.
22.
22. Okay, so you can feel terror running through your body.
So you are talking about a primordial, titan.
So the menace you're feeling is coming at such a deep level of your mind that you're just full of fear, even though you're able to rationally think. You're rationally thinking while completely submerged in fear.
Ah.
If you didn't succeed, you would be
I want to double check
irrationally
the fact that it was terror with an OR, not terror with an A.
terror for no
So, having Lani and Drachnima mention that they're looking for these things and they can see these things?
I was gonna say, I did go first, so I would probably point out, it's like, oh yeah, no, I saw this, I know that the bridge is this way, the bridge was in such and such condition, Lonnie wasn't around from the advice from the Rakasta about not flying? No,
But
that was in the village, wasn't it? Okay, so Lonnie knows not to fly. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But I also updated you on what's been happening when you were gone.
yeah. So Lonnie will just tell a general direction of where she saw the beginning of this bridge.
And what did Calcrix want to see?
Calcrix wonders and will talk with the group in general about if you can see like the location of the center of the island, is it helpful or would it be helpful to see if we can figure out where the primal titans are now? Because Drachnima, I don't think has mentioned yet that he's looked and seen this thing and gotten terror. So she's
Well,
like, well,
Gakdima's probably, if anyone's looking at Gakdima, probably see that he's got a bit white like a ghost, and well, he's often fairly quiet, but
Yeah, given what we've been discovering, though, that sounds perfectly reasonable response.
yeah. So do you respond when I'm like, well, should we be looking for where these titans actually are? Would this be helpful information to know? If for anything else, to avoid them.
And then would this be a time where Drachnima is able to speak up through his terror?
Yeah, and say no, or maybe.
okay, what we just come up with the idea. Well, yeah, explore the island, but we're being watched, monitored.
By one of the
Yeah.
many gods that we already are being watched and monitored by.
Apparently, we are the god's favorite show.
Do you know where on the island the thing that you saw is?
Couldn't confirm.
Well,
Not that I wanted to confirm. Except maybe to avoid.
yeah. Well, that's what Alcrix is wondering is, maybe we don't necessarily want to encounter them just yet. That also being the thought. Is it so you know how to get to the bridge? Generally, okay. So are we still gonna head to the bridge at this point, or are
I was
we
gonna say, I don't know. Did I see if there were other story shrines along the way?
You don't think there are too many left?
Okay, I want to finish those
the story
and then
shrines
get to
before
where.
we do the thing?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did Calcrix want to...
Calcrix
look for
kind of
something?
wants to get a kind of a map of the island. So if she can see things, she kind of wants to note where all of, kind of like what Lani did in the sense of figuring out where the bridge is and all that sort of stuff, because
I was doing it the way that I do mazes. I just start from the end and go backwards to where we were.
Okay, so as you sort of see the island from great height, as if a light shining down upon it.
like
Right.
sun, perhaps?
Like a sun, yeah.
Yeah.
You basically see the whole layout of the island like that, realizing that the bridge is at least 6 miles in length.
Okay,
Yeah.
6 miles
6
in length.
miles in length.
Okay, yep.
Which are all hex.
When looked from the from above.
Yeah.
Right, okay. But I'm able to also note
be a
important
fun walk.
sort of landmarks, locations.
You sort of get an overview
Yeah.
of
By the way,
the terrain.
if you mention
Yeah.
you're doing that, do you have training in calligrapher's tools?
I've got special map and memory type skills. I don't have my little sheet in front of me, but
Yeah.
I'm like I've got like Wanderer and things like that, where when I'm going through tombs and mazes and things like that, I can remember my way back and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And I
But
can,
so you have skill in
Drawing them, yeah.
drawing a map.
yeah,
So you-
cartography.
you-
That's the
yes.
word.
Yeah, you get an
Cartography.
That's
overview
why I
of
said
the island,
cartography.
including that there
Yeah.
are 5 major elemental nodes.
Okay, yeah.
You know where they are now.
But I don't feel like I don't, because I'm looking generally at the island as a whole. There's no particular primal gods starting to look at me while I'm just getting a sense of where we are, so
You
that
do
I
get
know
a
where we
feeling
go.
of peace.
Peace, yeah, and that's because of the sun god, dawn. I'm
You
guessing.
don't think it's because of the sun god.
Oh, okay. Do I get a feeling of who it is?
No, you just get a great feeling of peace.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm guessing it's not Calamity then.
You don't think any of the primal titans have
No.
any concept of peace?
Yeah, no,
No.
it
It
could
would
well be
be-
Terra, or
It would be the immortal one.
Yeah.
Who is
or
a
Io,
non,
yeah.
Who is a non. No, the immortal primordial
Oh,
who
right.
does not have an elemental aspect.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Isn't that
That's the 6th.
Yes.
And so, what does Luell try to see?
The
while
father.
you're here?
Primordial.
As you've realised, each of them have only been able to see one thing.
Yeah. the bridge in detail.
Okay.
As in sort of walk my way across
So
the bridge.
you get this really close-up view of twine that seems to be made out of nothing you recognize.
Okay.
And looking at it, you believe it's actually made from part of car.
I can see that.
Sinew?
T-Rexes have feathers.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably a bit sparse, but yeah, you can still make fibre out of them.
So 6 miles worth of fiber created by car.
Yeah, he's had a long time and he's a big T-Rex.
You're not fat.
Maybe you can test it.
No.
It doesn't show any sign of decay or deterioration.
Don't expect it to.
No.
Mm.
That's why they use bits of car.
And by the way it's
I don't call it
anchored
preserve for nothing.
Yes.
and set, it doesn't look as if it could support the length that it has.
Of course not.
You'd expect it to fall apart over 30 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's made of bits of a god.
Which will also mean why it seems to be the safe spot across.
Yes. That would make sense as to why the pterodactyls don't fly in that area.
Yeah. Right, sounds like after we visit the rest of the shrines, we'll probably head towards the bridge.
Pterodactyls.
Yeah.
Terror.
You
Okay.
want to ride one, don't you?
Although it's kind of contradictory because Terra means Earth. In
I
a
know,
way.
that's why it's.
Ah,
Yeah.
Earth
Yeah.
dactyls.
but,
The earth
but a
dactyls.
pterodactyl with a P in the front.
So yeah, no, I understand that, but I
Yes.
was.
But I was I was
Looking
no,
at
I was like
Lani's-
terror, like terror.
Mm.
Dactyls.
Oh, okay.
they are
so you're
scary.
looking at. Yeah. It would be scary.
Still with the P in the front because why not?
Yes.
I don't know. I like the funny P.
It's kind of like
The silent J in cat.
yeah,
JCAT.
yeah.
Okay, so the final story of Ka talks about the destruction of Blackmore
Yeah.
and the world itself being thrown out of alignment.
That's right. It got
So
turned
it talks
sideways,
about the
didn't it?
destruction of Blackmore or the Blackmorians or
Yes.
Of Blackmore itself.
Yeah.
How Ka got the assistance of the other gods to preserve as many races as possible.
Which is the
And
Hollow
they
World.
built the Hollow World in the image of the Isle of Dread.
Ah.
Cast needs to be the hero of this tale.
Of course. Driven by car.
He wrote it.
And it does note that one day he hopes to be able to free Io.
Well, we can help with that.
Assuming Io wishes to be freed.
Well, yes, there is that.
He's like,
We're going to give
I'm gonna stay
Io
right
the
here.
chance.
Mm-hmm.
And it does describe the 5 primal titans he can recognize.
Oh, okay.
One of them looks like the ancestor of the pterodactyl bird
Yeah.
style, and it has a wingspan that can dwarf nations.
Does he mention which element this
That is the dawn one.
dawn?
Yeah.
It says the
Did you ever get any image from the story that might connect with the the terrifying image or sensation that he had?
each one of these brings terror. The
Yeah.
terror of sunlight is primal dawn. And
So it is a pterodactyl.
the primal storm reminds you of the Dimetrodons.
Okay.
That seems to be very similar to what it looks like, and while it's awake, it is the storm of the world.
Yeah.
So that's
no other
the
storms.
big
Yeah.
lizards with the fan-like spine.
Yeah.
Or the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park, either one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spinosaurus is just easy to ride.
And it's bigger than most islands.
Yeah. You're going to be a bugger to fight, you know.
And then
Then it has the primal.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
The primal tide looks like a gigantic sea serpent.
yeah, that makes
Yes.
sense.
Wherever it moves is where high tide is.
Ah. Yeah.
It is the only.
Except at the moment,
Yeah.
That sounds like
it's
the
probably
maybe
the
like
fact that it's out and about is why there's no tide.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
gonna say it sounds like a little bit like the unagi from Avatar: Last Airbender,
Mm.
Yeah. Only bigger.
which sounds cool.
And then we have hunger.
Primal death,
Death?
appears to be what you'd consider to be a creature full of spines.
Oh.
So an echidna is the closest you can think of if you can imagine all the echidna's spines are curved.
Oh. And the echidna's the size of a country.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that it can send those spurs almost halfway around the world.
Okay.
It has hit the moon.
Hey, cool.
Okay. That's
Don't want to go on the wrong side of him.
no.
Well, it is known as primal death after all.
Yeah.
It is the reason why the second moon became invisible.
They hid it, so he couldn't target it.
What? It's his favorite target. Okay.
It was the closer of the two moons.
So it's the reason why the second moon became invisible because it was destroyed by it?
No,
or-
because it
No.
was easier to target.
Because he was targeting it and they hit it.
Mm.
And Primal Calamity appears to be a T-Rex with 3 heads.
That doesn't sound good. And the way things go, it's probably got flame breath as well.
Does it mention hunger?
T-Rex with 3 heads. That sounds cool as hell.
And Primal Hunger appears to be the biggest lizard that resembles a T-Rex.
Okay.
It's more lizard-like than Tyrannosaurus-like,
Yeah.
but it walks like a T-Rex.
Oh, so it's
And-
like that
And
fancy,
its
fancy one. from
foot's big
Jurassic
enough
Park.
to squish most cities.
Of course.
So they're big enough to look over the World Tree.
Yeah.
All the fun.
Yes.
So the avatar of the sun is just a baby in comparison to these guys.
Yep.
The one that you defeated.
Yeah.
Yet, consider compared to most of you, it was huge.
I was gonna
Yes.
say I remember I watched the video and how you were comparing them. Just
Yeah.
this thing is gigantic, but these are gigantic.
They are the biggest living creatures.
Yes.
They big and then they big.
Yep.
Because I remember you describing like the Tarrasque that woken up in the lake, and then the Kraken that we woke up.
Yeah.
And it's just like, those are the babies. So
Yeah.
that was scary.
Yes. There are some creatures that are big. That are so big that they are combat environments, not something you fight. And then you get something where creatures that size fight on them,
Yeah.
and that's these things. And these things are big enough you could have a war with 10,000 people on each side on their back.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say we are?
Well, yeah. Although the one that's a Dimetrodon would make it a bit difficult unless the gravity goes inwards on the sail.
And it does go into detail that this was where they nested.
Yeah.
Oh,
And that it is believed that Calamity gave birth to Io.
Yeah.
It is the only one of them to have 3 heads.
so Calamity gave birth to the rest?
Calamity
No.
gave
Oh,
birth
to Io.
Yeah.
And Io is
So-
not
so
a child of
obvious-
the other 5.
Yeah.
Obviously, Calamity spent a bit too much time in the radiation zone.
Yes. Or actually, being Calamity, it is the radiation zone.
And because of the manipulations of Takesis and Bahamut is why the dragons now have an affinity.
Yeah.
Because of the manipulations of Takesis and Bahamut is why the what?
All the dragons now have elements
Ah.
and access to them.
Yeah.
Very
So-
few take the path of Takesis, gaining different elemental types.
Alright.
Yeah.
So
Most of
then
them just
we
stack
then-
up one. Yeah.
Mainly because it's not the path many are willing to take.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yes.
Oh
That's where
no!
That's where I'm going.
Missy here has 3 colours.
Yes, but do you have 3 elemental affiliations?
Yes.
Yes.
She does.
Ah, cool.
She does.
Yeah.
But so that then makes us determine that Calamity is the primordial of immortality.
Yes.
And is separate from the elements. So Calamity is also the weakest, quote unquote, compared to the other ones, but
Yeah.
is still impossibly strong
Yeah.
to us.
Okay, give a definition of weak.
It's like who's weakest, Michael Jordan or
Yeah.
no, that's
Well,
not how it works.
Yeah. This is. It's going to take half a dozen gods for each one of these. Sort
Absolutely.
of power level.
Yes.
Yeah. And we get to do something about it.
And it does. The last thing Ka does say is that the primal titans are not the source of all power,
Yeah.
No, but they are.
but probably the easiest to tap into.
Yes.
Well, particularly if you.
While they are sleeping.
Yeah. And not at all while they're awake.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any indication of what are other major types of power sources?
Is the elemental
Elemental rulers and the fake
and
queens.
the
Yeah. Because they were a power source before the
Yeah, makes sense.
Immortals were.
It does say that none of the gods could solely take power from the titans.
Yeah. Which explains why they have pantheons.
And that the Io was the only immortal that he came across that didn't have a power source.
Yeah.
So,
So
Io
he was
doesn't
his
have
own-
a power source.
He was his own power source.
and
He had to be.
and that's how he kept the others asleep. Then maybe.
Because he didn't have an elemental affiliation. That
Because
effectively gave.
independent.
That
Mhm.
effectively gave him power in itself.
Mm-hmm.
At least against elemental things.
See, now I see why a couple
It also
sessions
possibly
back you
says
didn't give us
why
a
his essence
family
is
tree.
required
Yes.
to block them.
At least that was true when they locked them up the first time.
So the last thing you get from Ka there is the only reason Io can put them to sleep is Io's full power surpasses theirs
Yeah.
and suppresses it.
Right. So you'd need to match that if you wanted to have IO available and still deal with them.
And they have grown while they slept.
Let's hope he's grown as
Perhaps
well.
maybe Io has too.
Yeah. But if we want to replace IO with something else, we have to match their power.
And it does say that Io was bound to the moon.
The one that was destroyed?
No,
One that was
not,
damaged.
not the one that was hidden, the one you
Yeah.
can see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
every now and then, the lycanthropes come to be because that's part of Io's effect on the world.
Right.
Okay.
But Io is always watching the island.
Yes.
Yeah.
And or people who might look at Portal.
Yes.
So he, in a sense, become the essence of the moon.
Right, so we need something powerful enough to match that. I think I know what we need. Edgelord player egos.
So
Couple of them.
I
no
can
problem.
do this, therefore I will.
No, the ego of the player, not the character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
believe that there is a library in the centre of the island built by the followers of Ka,
Yeah.
talking about Lani, the bringer of language.
Yeah. I want to look at that place.
That's not gonna mess up my mind at all.
Which means it's a library created by the Corporeal.
Yes.
Yes.
Which we were told about. We were told that that was
That didn't
built by
exist.
the
That didn't exist before you spoke to them.
because Ka would have. Wait. This makes no sense anymore.
I don't know. Ka got his language from somewhere.
Yes. Why did I make language?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You gave the language to Carter, they went to the other.
I'm gonna say this is why it's so basic. It's because Lana made
Don't undersell yourself.
Hey, it's a language that everyone can understand.
it. Yeah, it's called a
Which,
hit.
if you can imagine, with all the things
hit
in the
that.
world, mathematics is the only language currently that every culture can understand without having to be taught it.
Yeah.
True.
It's just what the symbols mean is the only thing that's different between cultures.
Yep.
And
In this world or in the...
In this world.
Up
In
here?
our
Okay,
world.
right.
Yeah.
I was just checking because my brains
yeah.
had to...
Hit so much. I'm just gonna duck to the bottom
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
You don't have to move.
Yeah. And
Writing has
you can quite
put me
happily
in severe
learn.
pain.
Yeah, and you can quite happily learn multiple symbolisms for the same techniques.
Yes. With
Um,
real life mathematics rather than
Yeah, exactly.
Lani's language.
Yeah.
See, now that has alliteration you can remember.
Yes. Lani's language learner.
Lani's library.
Leapfrog. All right.
Lani's literacy.
Oh, there you go.
Leapfrog was a literacy program for kids.
I was going to say Lani's library literacy
Yeah.
learning circle.
Yeah.
You know, more L's.
I am just going to become Duolingo.
Yes, you are.
If you don't do your
Oh, no.
lesson, threatening presence. Okay.
Well, no,
Well, you know.
it's a single language that can be learned by anybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just like the
So-
social media presence of Duolingo.
Oh, there's that.
Lonnie wants to take
Right.
on that presence.
Yeah.
Like, kind of funny, a little bit
This
intimidating.
is what Lou was
That's all
talking
I
about in
care
terms of
about.
ego.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yes. But yeah, what you've done is Esperanto.
Hmm.
You're just going to talk the primals back to sleep.
If I can bore them enough, I'm sure.
Persuade them to send themselves back to sleep rather than needing Io to do it.
You got to
Go
sleep now.
sleep.
Night night.
It's been a long day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
The sun's getting low in the sky.
That's about time.
Yeah.
It's
Sun's
about time we
getting
should
real
finish
low,
up.
buddy.
But hey, you managed to get through the
Stories.
through the story parts of the valley,
Mm.
which was in actuality
Quite a bit.
6 hexes, so 36 miles of stuff.
Yeah.
But because you were going from story point to story point, you managed to avoid nearly all the pitfalls.
Yay!
My
Oh,
main
no.
complaint is I saw
No.
this pulled out on my dice and didn't use them.
Yeah.
No, but we get to do all those next session. because now we've got to go back to get the raft and the cart, and then we take the raft up and we hit all the encounters.
But that's just going up the river, so we're going to miss the encounters unless there's any river encounters.
There's a lot of river encounters.
Okay.
It's a river. There will be encounters.
Yeah.
The main encounters were on the river itself.
Ah. Well, okay. The first time we discover that, we'll take the wagon off and ride up the side of the road, or ride up the side of the river.
Oh look, I'm not exactly.
I'm not
unhappy,
worried.
but
I'm not worried either way because hey, XP and loot.
And now you know part of the
Yeah.
story that I've been working on in the background to make it all make sense
Yeah.
is that it's not one origin story, it's multiple things interacting with the world at the same time, each having their own view of how it happened.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, Tara actually remembers being sponsored as well. Not that people know that she was sponsored.
Yes.
Interesting.
question
Well-
is who sponsored her?
Well, I want to interview them.
That's going to be interesting. I'd like
Yeah.
to interview you.
Yeah. I'm doing it. I'm
But
doing a
either
research
way-
project.
I've got to get out of here.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to go to end credits.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow,
Thank you.
Jeremy.
We'll
Good
see you
night.
later.
Thanks very much. Great session. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye for now.